be 50 minutes late. Mate, these meds did a number on me. Alright. What are we doing? What's that? I'm late. Might as well not even turn up. What a loser. We want this to be here. I think. That should work better. Hello! How's it going, everyone? Welcome back to another stream. Yes, we got a new Halo light. Oh yeah, I am late today. My doc changed my meds yesterday, and well, let's just say I don't think I've been stoned before, but it feels weird. I'm only 34 minutes late. Man, I'm drinking water like it's tea. How are we all doing today? Banisher, they want Xbox to die. Nah, start time's at 8 o'clock, man. It's been 8 o'clock for a while. They wanted to die so they can pay like £2,000 for a console. Do I think we will get another port, PlayStation port to Xbox by the end of 2025? Honestly, I don't know. It doesn't seem likely. I know that Horizon Lego is already just sitting there. There's a build for Returnal that's just sitting there. And now there's talks about Horizon. But what I do know about Horizon, which is really, really odd, is that, as you might have guessed, they've already started making excuses if Horizon does actually go to Xbox. I mean, just look at it, right? I would believe Horizon Zero Dawn to be the first PlayStation Studios first-party game to come to Xbox if that ever happens. That game was the first to go to PC. The sequel went to PS Plus. Soon after launch as a test, there was an actual VR game for it. The IP just as a sales experiment. So they're saying now that if Horizon gets announced for Xbox, it's just a sales experiment. It means nothing. So they've already got their backstory written into this. They've already got it all settled in, and that's going to be the narrative that they go with. It's already begun. They're already trying to make excuses for the moment a first-party game gets announced. I mean, I saw Colt's clip on that, and he was pretty damning. There was a couple of points he made that made some sense, but I think he's clearly just pandering to who's that other guy that he streams with? I forgot his name now. I'm sure you guys know who I'm talking about. He has a really long name. Mag, that's the one. But he has like a really long name, right? I think Colt is just now pandering to Mag. That's it. That's what I remember it as. I don't remember the acronym. But yeah, I mean, I watched his clip that people have been posting. I think he's just pandering towards thing. The only thing that I will say is it becomes a question of cost at this point. Now, we've seen that with the next Xbox, as I think Steve posted it in my Discord, but he also posted it on Twitter, so I'll just grab that real quick. Oh god, guy is really obsessed with Gears. See that random Steve guy? Really obsessed with Gears. Weirdo. But, you know, going off the information, there will be no next-gen machine, OEM or otherwise, in 2026, as rumors stipulate. If Xbox do another machine next year via OEM, it will not be next-gen device, because the Zen 6 is slated for 2027 Q1. You know, it's looking cool. Now, the Zen 7 leaks have started, apparently, but take that with a grain of salt. Up to 7 gigahertz, that's crazy. But if Zen 6, which is what the next gen console is going to be on, is landing, then it's going to be 2027, because that's when this chip comes out, 27 November. Now, what they can do is actually release a console OEM that's not going to be Zen 6, that's going to be Zen 5, and it's going to give you a somewhat similar experience, but it's not going to be the next gen experience. So take that as you will. But it's interesting to see that if they are going with Zen 6, none of them are releasing anything before 2027. I mean, Mag is pro PlayStation. You know he is. There's no two ways about it. But I think Colt is just pushing that way because he's looking for a new place to make views. I don't know. Whatever it is, that's up to him. None of my business. He can hustle how he wants. But how have we all been? What have we been doing? How have we been? What games have we been playing? Bungie's in a whole leap of trouble, aren't they? They're about to go bye-bye as Arc Riders is doing gangbusters. Nah, I don't think... honestly, Steve, I don't think the Series X can last till 2028. There's just no shot it's going to last till 2028. It would need a mid-season refresh at that point if they're going to push it to 2028. It would need a boost. Otherwise, everyone's going to be playing games at 800p, 30 FPS, or less. It's alright, Bruno. Blink once for if it was good, or blink twice for if it was bad. Alright, folks, he blinked twice. That's all we need to know. There you go, see? I knew it. That's because Nintendo fans don't care if they run games at 200p at 20 FPS. Next gen gamers do mind. I mean, when Zelda came out, it was like, what, 20 FPS, dropping down to 15 FPS? Like, to me, that's unplayable. But they were lapping it up like crazy because They don't care about performance. The game could run at 5 frames and they'll still be happy. That is the Nintendo way. Are you a fan of horror games? Some. Depends on the horror. I don't mind them. There's some I enjoy and some I don't. I mean, on Halloween I was playing a horror game. Stupid damn screechers. Do you know what was really funny? I see D-Batch and Bruno getting all chummy. Man, Bruno went to the dark side real quick, man. He went to the dark side of the moon. Getting all chummy. What a guy. Still Wakes the Deep was a really good game. Well, Kabini, the problem is, if the chip isn't available until 2027, unless Microsoft is going to get early access to it, then it won't be. They're going to have an inferior product. Maybe. A Zen 6 for 26, Zen 7 for... Zen 5 for 26, Zen 6 for 27. Byron, that's because of the cross generations, right? The moment you start supporting your previous consoles, you lose. You lose a portion of the market share. That's just how it works. If you release your games and publishers are still releasing their games on the PS4 and the Xbox One, there's no reason for people to upgrade. The most popular games are Fortnite, Madden, FIFA, Battlefield. All of these games are the most popular ones, right? Call of Duty. And they are still coming out on the last, on last generation machines. So as a last generation gamer, if you don't care about 30 FPS, why do you care about upgrading? And if you're in the camp of having an Xbox One, with cloud gaming, you get access to all of the games anyway. So, like I said, it's weird. They really screwed things up. Oh man, I don't know if I can show this publicly, but Bruno, you let us down, man. You let us down. What did Devin do to you, Bruno? Hey, Wayne, how's it going? With that Quebec shirt and that PS5. Obviously, it's got your face, so I'm not going to show it just because you might not want it publicly being aired. But damn, man. There you celebrating like that. I don't know, chat. What do we do as a punishment for our resident Bruno? We should put him up against one of those games, those co-op games where he just consistently just tries to do stuff and you just watch him die over. Oh wait, Steve already done that. Isn't your Discord punishment? My Discord is never punishment enough. Mate, do you know what's the worst thing? I hate the fact that my work machine doesn't allow me to have Discord anymore. It's so annoying. No dying of cringe. There is no cringe! Mate, even the advert that Microsoft just recently came out with is pretty damn cool. And I love how most people don't even know where it's aimed for or what it's supposed to do. It's funny. Outer Worlds 2 removed PSSR for TSR. I mean, PSSR just is too early. It's gonna have loads and loads of problems. Isn't that the one where they drop the box, the case through the letterbox, and then it says now there's Game Pass. Oh, oops. That's not supposed to do that. Sorry. Oh. That's pointless. That is pointless. Someone posted something. God damn it, Bruno, man. That's a Nightmare on Elm Street shit. That's cool, Cola. Let me see if I can find that new commercial. Is that the one? What was it? Or can someone post it in chat? But Microsoft's going all in on their marketing, right? Which is weird because they don't market. You're playing Helldivers 2 today? Nate, there's nothing... What is wrong with Helldivers? It has a certain audience that like it. The PC audience mainly, but you know. Yeah, the Game Pass one. The one with the thing. I thought that was okay. You know, it basically shows how times have changed. Back then we used to go to Blockbuster Video or rental shops. Now you've got Game Pass. And that's what Game Pass is. It's a rental service. You know, it's not trying to disguise itself. It's embracing what it is. Is it safe to say everything is going to PS5 day one? Seems like they don't even want to do timed exclusives. Sandwich, the only games that will be timed exclusive are the ones where they can't actually develop both products at the same time. That is how I see it. Until Microsoft comes out and officially says we are going to make things timed for whatever reason, just expect everything to be day one. I mean, that's my opinion. Wayne, there's rumors that Horizon Zero Dawn is going to be announced for Xbox, but it's just rumors, right? But the coping of PlayStation fans has begun because they're already making excuses for it as to why this one wouldn't count towards a first-party, single-player, story, narrative-driven AAA title going to Xbox. That's what it is. I mean, that kid is probably from, you know, some rich-ass family, right? So for years since Fortnite came out, I've been calling it Fortnite, and yesterday I seen the season for Simpsons, and Bart rolls in on the roller skate, changes O to an A. There you go, Jesse. Your premonition finally came true. Ghosty, it was more in relation to this being the 1 year anniversary that Nixus ported one of the Horizons over. Or something like that. Hey, Grey Monad. I'm just catching. Not for ABK or Bethesda, mate, it's going to be for everything. Unless the studio isn't capable of doing it, then it will be timed. Like, for example, Ninja Theory, you know, the team behind, what is it? Hellblade 2. They could, there was no way they were going to do 2 versions at the same time. They don't have the studio capacity. They don't have the studio size. So they did one and then working on the other. I suspect, what was that other game that came out? That stop motion game. I really like that game, but I can never remember what it was called. South of Midnight, I think it is. And that's probably the same thing. Wait a minute. What happened to all my filters? Weird. It should have been done. I wonder why it's not. But thank you for the gifted sub, Devin. I appreciate it. So just a couple of updates from me regarding a couple of things. Some of you may have noticed or may not have noticed. As you know, I've got 2 YouTube channels. I've had to take my other YouTube channel offline because it's being targeted for copyright striking. So it's already hit 2 strikes. Someone is purposefully doing it, and it looks like they want to take it offline, and YouTube is saying okay and won't disallow that. And for those of you that have been following me over at Twitch, my son will be taking over my Twitch account as of next week. He should be joining me occasionally for Thursdays as well over here. But yeah, he'll be playing a lot of variety games over there. So if that's your cup of tea, feel free to check it out. The channel name will probably change, but if you head over and follow now, then you'll update alongside with it. Right, that's the housekeeping stuff out the way. Yeah, we're 11 subs away from 8K. Someone needs to start subbing and following. Well, keep South of Midnight and Starfield surprises us. Well, Starfield won't go to PlayStation until the expansion is ready. So the expansion got delayed till next year. Starfield's release for PlayStation got delayed till next year. Hey, Rabbi, how's it going? What was this? Rayman, the best platform series? Are you crazy? Did you hear the news? Pillars of Everest getting the beta turn-based mode? I did. I did hear about this. I don't know why it's needed. I'm feeling good, Remy. I am feeling good. A little weird with the new meds because they've upped my dosages like crazy, but you know, it feels weird. I feel like I'm on cloud 9. I guess this is what it feels like to have won the lottery without actually winning it. That's actually the next topic I was going to talk about, right? That's where I was moving next. Because, according to this, Frostbite on PS5 and PC is coming soon. Does this mean PlayStation is going day and date with PC? I can show Bruno now. Rabbi, the chip that the next Xbox is going to use is not going to be released until January 2027. So, unless Xbox is getting it early, which might happen, right? It might happen. It's not going to be released anytime soon. Do you think it's going to be a PC app, Kabini? Do you think people are going to switch over to from Steam over to the PC app just to play? All right, that's better. That's better. I can show that one. That one I can show. So that one I appreciate. There we go. See, there's Bruno in his amazingness. There's a bit wrong with his shoulder over there. I don't know what's going on there with his shoulder, but that artistic capture of his one-to-one lookalike while he's celebrating that PS5. Damn, son. Oh. Hey, be nice. How's it going? Devastator about the online thing. We'll see how that goes out. It's going to be a really. I mean, whatever they decide to do, it's going to be either it's completely off and they're going to throw all that money away, or they're going to leave it. And I don't know how it's going to work on the PC because obviously they can't have it on PC. I mean, realistically, they can't have it on PC, right? There's no ifs or buts. They tried it with Windows Live, and they got laughed out the stadium. In fact, they got laughed out the solar system. So they're not going to do that again. They see Bruno's finally getting it. Bruno finally gets it. But yeah, so it looks like they're going to do this, start doing this. Now, does this mean that it's still going to be a staggered release? Or does this mean it's going to be a just the games that are already available? Is unknown. Obviously, Zubitech jumping into the self-defense there, the cross-buy thing, but that died like it died in like 5 minutes on PlayStation. Only like 4 games supported it, I think. Well, Grey Man, they're talking about Zen 6 being on the next Xbox, right? And if Zen 6 is going to be on the next Xbox, Zen 6 is slated for Q1 2027. So unless Microsoft gets those chips early, and I mean really early, you know, straight off the production line before they're even tested or whatever, you know, how does that work? You know, it's slated for a release in 2027. We're talking up until April. So, I mean, as you know, timelines can change, right? Timelines can change. So, what was planned for 26 can be pushed to 27. It's not that Tom Henderson was wrong. It's just the information he had at the time was probably correct, but business plans change, stuff change. So, I mean, and this is the thing, like, everyone looks at stuff like Tom says or Jez says and stuff, and at the time of reporting, they could be 100% correct. But that doesn't mean by tomorrow, it's business plans change and release dates change, strategies change, and everything changes. That's why it's just, you know, the way I've seen things going, you can't take anything for granted. You can't take anything for gospel. I mean, we're going to see what it looks like next year for sure. I mean, that, you know, the actual box of what it is, it's the 25th anniversary. It has to happen. Now, the problem is, if for me, right, and I'm guessing a lot of people feel like this, not releasing it on the 25th anniversary is a massively missed opportunity. Massively missed opportunity. The 25th anniversary is big. So you want to go out there with a bang, have a 25th anniversary version of that console for £7,999, ready for you to buy, gold plated. And then you can get the silver one for $3,999, and then the pleb edition for $999. But the 25th anniversary is where you want it to actually, where it's going to do the most impact. So I can see them showing it, but if they don't have something available, maybe they'll have like early access to the chips or something and still squeeze it in to the end of 2026. That's always possible. Just because the public release is 2027 doesn't mean that, you know, they can't get early access. Because don't forget, once you've actually finished the device, then it's gonna go through its testing, you know, mass production, boxing, and everything, and that takes a while. That takes like a month or two. So that could easily go pushed into 2027 for more retail. But for corporations, it could be available at the tail end, ready for them. But then how late will it be? So it really depends on the timing. You know what? He's going to continue saying that until we get an official announcement. And if it does get cancelled, my God, he's going to be singing laps. But if it doesn't, everyone's going to mock him like crazy. But he's going to turn around and say, I was only joking. Xbox releases in November, yeah. They always release in November. So it's possible, right? The first quarter could literally mean January. So it'd give them 2 months to get production and mass production in place and ready for launch. But they could get, like, I don't know, 10,000, 20,000 units ready for November potentially. It just depends on how the production of the device goes, the chipset goes. Well, one thing is certain, Xbox always like to do things when nobody is expecting, whether good or bad. I mean, there is truth to that. Be nice. There is truth to that. I mean, I think Microsoft does need to release it in 2026. That's just my opinion. I think with the way they've handled everything, I think a 2026 release is prudent. But, you know, we're going to see. It's still a year away. And if they're going to announce it, it's going to be during the summer showcase, right? That's going to be like the best place to announce it. But what do you guys think of this? Is it going to be a PlayStation launcher, or is it going to be on Steam? Is anyone even going to use the PlayStation app? And will this mean games going day and date to PC? Make Jeff do it? Make Jeff will cry. Did you hear a number of years ago when they made the announcement for the Series X? Do you remember when they were showing Hellblade? When they showed Hellblade at the was it the Game Awards or the Summer Games Fest? Did you know that Jeff didn't know that the Xbox was going to be announced? And he was so surprised and apparently not very happy that Microsoft deceived him in what they were showing, because he didn't watch the footage. They just got the MP4 or whatever it was, AVI, and got it, hooked it up and got it ready. They just saw the first few seconds of Hellblade and that was it. They sent him a different clip apparently. So he didn't know that it was going to announce the next Xbox, and when it turned out announcing it, apparently he wasn't very happy. Because it was promoting Xbox. I mean, doesn't the PS5 Pro have an NPU already with well, kind of. With the PSSR? Why would the PS6 not have one if the PS5 already has hardware upscaling, AI upscaling? Of course, you're the only one in chat, Bruno, to turn around and say that you're all for the... Didn't in that interview with Mark Cerny and AMD dude, I'm never gonna remember his name. Mark Cerny was like bigging up all of that, and he turned around and goes, "Yes, this is going to be in every single gaming device." So, I think they're all just gonna get the same thing. I don't know. It didn't pan over to Mark's face at that point when he turned around and said, "Yes, this is going to be in every single gaming device." But anyone pinch a PS5 Pro? Nah, I wouldn't know anything about that, mate. That's not how we do things around here. Yeah, this is interesting because I actually raised this on yesterday, on Boom's show. I mean, he's been inviting me more and more over there, which is cool. I appreciate it. So I've been trying to attend as much as I can. But this is something I mentioned. The PS5 Portal now is getting an update where you don't need a PS5 Pro or a PS5 in general to just run any games. You can just run it now with the PS Portal and off you go. In fact, you can do it on your Steam Deck. In fact, you can probably do it on anything that can connect to a browser that can portal in. Crazy times we're living in. But apparently that's different though. That's not the same. Apparently that's not the same, folks. They say it's not the same. But I ask you, Why is it not? You tagged me. You hear this, boys? Man, YouTube still has not got back to me. I think they've just blacklisted me now. Wait, are you sure you tagged me on YouTube? I mean, not on YouTube, on X? I mean, I got quite lucky, Kabini. I found mine for $80 on eBay. It was really cool. The guy, and for an extra tenner, he threw in a screen protector that he put on there for me. He threw in a dockable charger and the works. So I got quite lucky. I feel like £87 with postage and packaging included, all in all. That's not bad for a Portal. And it's great, right? I can now give it to my kids and... Fuck's that, Steve? I didn't even see the one with the red blotch on it. Bruno, you're getting violated, man. Let's see. So this is the thing that Bruno just sent me. It says, I have not seen
I have not seen an NPU listed on any PlayStation 6 documents. I've had a hunch that they don't have an NPU, and Microsoft is, which will be a differentiating factor. The PS6 might have like 3,000, 5,000 tops. What the hell is it 46 to 110 tops NPU gonna do if you could just quickly run an operation across the GPU or part of it while you're running a game? That might just be smarter and far more powerful. And by the way, that's what they did with the PS5 Pro, that upped the tops from compute units, not an NPU, to higher tops performance than a 96 compute unit 7900 XTX, suggesting...
So the PS5 Pro doesn't have an NPU. Interesting. I thought it did.
The PS5 Pro is kind of a beta for what they want to do with the PS6.
Just you bringing this up, it does make me wonder if NPUs are going to be like this weird blip for 3 years in a lot of hardware.
It might be.
Okay, there you go. There you go. There you go. I knew there was a catch coming. I knew it.
Be something like that where you thought it was something you needed, but you really didn't long term.
So now, because PlayStation isn't going to have an NPU, presumptuously, NPUs are just a fad. They're a trend. Did you see how immediately, right at the end, it got downplayed to an NPU basically just being hot garbage? Tell me this guy isn't a pony without telling me he's a pony. That's all I gotta say, man. I'm not even like making shit up at this point. No, but what I'm saying is he's trying to already dismiss the value of an NPU. We all know the value of it. We all know what it brings to the table. But now he's trying to pass it off as something that's only, you know, it's like a 2-3 year fad thing that's really cool. And then when they realize no one, he isn't anything like you. He is very unbiased. Yeah, no one believes you, Bruno. No one believes you. I bought a ROG Ally Z1 with a 2 terabyte drive for 300. Dude, that is so cool. If I could find out for 300, I'd buy it. I'd buy it instantly. I did see if I can get a Lenovo Go from Lenovo, but apparently you need way more subs in order for them to even consider you. I'm like 40k shy. So what you guys need to do right now is set up bot farms to create accounts and get me closer to that 50k, and then we'll be on to something. That's your job, folks. That's your job. Get to it. Yeah, I just don't trust anything Emlid says because of the fact that he just has such a bias towards PlayStation, and he just really doesn't like Xbox. Anyone that has that much of a hatred towards a platform, like Mike Ybarra, you just can't take, a word of what they're saying. It's just a thing. You just can't do it. I mean, Mike is pissed, right? Because he got John Cena out twice, back to back. So I get why he's pissed and he's salty. And when I actually confronted him, guy didn't even have the kahunas to even respond to me because he knew there was no response that he could give that would place him in the right. Do you know, if PlayStation are really downgrading their hardware, maybe that price point of 600 might actually be true. If they're not going for, I mean, they're clearly not going for high end this time round. I still don't think 600 is going to be it. I think it'll be closer to 700. Brick, I leave that to you. Mike doesn't hate Xbox. Mike hates Phil. Always has, always will. I don't think he left twice. I think he was booted twice. Look, you say that, Bruno, right? Bruno, you say that, right? But here's the thing. When you're saying stuff like that, and there's a part of you that's, joking around, messing about, not taking things seriously, you've always got this guy. You've always got this guy in this day and age who genuinely believes this. So you need to be careful with what you say, because there are people out there who genuinely believe that the PS5 gives you console performance of a 5090 for a third of the price. I mean, they've gone from 4090 to 5090. I get that, because they've gone from. Well, I don't even have an excuse for that anymore. Serious question. How does it feel that content that trashes Xbox gets nearly 1,000 times your average views? I mean, that's because that content is what people want to see, right? I'm not gonna turn around and do that personally myself, so it doesn't feel like anything. Okay, but with the same sub count, nothing. Because at some point, their channels are going to be meaningless. And while they're selling their soul and being a sellout and flip-flopping left and right and basically having zero integrity and zero self-respect, I can hold my head high and say that I have self-respect, I have integrity, and I have my own, moral code. It's really that simple. If you want to go whore yourself out, go make an OnlyFans. It's going to make you a lot of money. Right? Go get a female VTuber with massive tits. I mean, that there is no equivalent, difference to that and what they're doing. They're basically whoring themselves out. And if that's what you're okay with, and that's the type of thing you want to support, then that's great. power to you. It's just not for me. I will just be who I am, and if something happens, great. If it doesn't, at some point the channel will go away, and I go about my daily life. This isn't my full-time job. I have a 9-to-5 job. It pays me well. It puts food on the table. It allows me to buy cool stuff. While I'm doing this, I get cool stuff from publishers, free game codes, free hardware. So that kind of makes up for the lack of everything else, and it kind of tops it up, and it's great. I'm enjoying it. So it's all good for me. So I hope that answers your question. Hey man, tell us, I have them. You just don't want to see them. Not if you want like 5 years of therapy. Not you, Curse, but both Xbox and PlayStation fans are as bad as each other. I mean, like I said before, last week on Thursday, this kind of gaming discourse that's here is really weird. Like, the console wars back in the day used to be totally different. Back in the day, it used to be about the games. And as this guy proves over here, this Crisis Core, it's not about the games anymore. It's about how much of a horrible person you can be to the other one, how much shittier you can make the other person feel, or try to make them feel. And the reality is, it doesn't bother me for the most part. I just don't care. I'm not getting involved with that level of discourse. People are just, people just want to completely tear each other apart in the name of a console that doesn't care about them. Doesn't care about anyone. Right? Back in the day, it used to be a different kind of battle. It used to be about the games, and the games did the talking. X game was better than Y game, and A game was better than B game. Or if you had a disagreement, you'd jump onto a fighting game like Street Fighter Alpha 3, or you'd jump on Mario Kart or something and battle it out to see who was superior. Today, it's all about seeing who can stab the next person in the back and start de-doxing them, doxing them and shit like that. Now it's personal. It never used to be. Now it's all about attacking people's families and children and relatives and, the person in particular. But those actions have consequences, as we've seen, where people sometimes tip over the edge and end up taking their own lives. But these people don't care. These people lavish over that. The fact that people die. The fact that people go into mental crisis. This is what they strive for. And if they think for a second that I'm going to fall into that trap, I'm not. I'm just literally not going to do that. It doesn't bother me at all. I literally just... Anyone that comes at me like that instantly gets a block, and I move on with my life. It really is that simple. It doesn't bother me what other people are doing. I'm happy they're finding success, and I wish for them to continue their success. I don't want anyone to lose out on money. If that's how they're putting their bread on the table, good for them. But I'm just not going to do that. It's just not my way. It's not how I was raised. Right? I was raised as an honest, decent person, and I will continue to be that way. Obviously, that comes with shortfalls, like it has done for me in the gaming industry, where I was given certain ultimatums. I chose to do the morally right thing, and that cost me dearly. But hey, I still stand by my moral grounds. It is. It is. And not him. Anyone but him. anyone but that video, Devastator. I know I'm in that one and I don't want to respond to it. I've had enough of responding to AGN and his antics. Find another video though. Apparently there was a good one from DCG recently. I know all of you love that guy. But yeah. Anyway, mini rant over. What do you think of this? AGN round 2. Look, I watched his video, right? And I couldn't tell who he was talking to. I couldn't tell if he was talking about GameStar or me. I started recording it, a response video, and I genuinely couldn't tell who he was talking to. It's like the guy was suffering from some kind of, I don't even know what's the correct term for it, where you can't tell the identity of who you're talking to anymore. It was just weird. Like, I made this whole video and then I realized halfway through, wait, is he even talking to me or is he talking to GameStar? Like, he was making references that we made an agreement and stuff, and I'm like, I ain't even spoken to this guy. So I don't even know how to even respond to that video when I can't even tell who he's talking to. It's almost, you know, good luck to him and his 400 views. Tell us, yeah, he's been inviting me on there. I feel like I provide a different perspective to what they do, and they appreciate my perspective on stuff. You know, the different angled takes that I have, which is which they value, and I think that, you know, the show community values it as well, so it's good. Mate, his crash out was legendary. That crash out was like, mate, I thought he was gonna blow a nerve or something. Lots of people outside of console space is talking about this, but the Xbox brand is just uncool. I mean, I wouldn't say it's uncool, but I would say it's just they didn't capture a lot of the Eastern audience, and a lot of gamers like Eastern games, and Microsoft really didn't do that. With the 360 era, they did, and you saw that they had a really good run of it. But back on the Xbox One, they had a horrible launch, and then the Kinect, and then the Always Online, and then the DRM, and then the TV. All of that kind of played into it and kind of hurt them at the launch of the Xbox One. Even though they kind of rebounded, it wasn't enough. And then with the Series X, Halo didn't launch again day one on the console. It was delayed. So they had another launch without a flagship title. And, you know, they still didn't get those Eastern games, which they really needed to. So it's not about being uncool. It's just they missed out on a lot of games. And the other platform had it. So you go to the platform for most people that, you know, has the games they want. However, if you're looking for FPS games and multiplayer games, Xbox is the best place for that as a console. We're not including PC because PC gets everything. But it just depends what you're looking for. If you're looking for Mario, you're not going to go for PlayStation or Xbox. You're going to go to Nintendo. Bullets, we're going to get to that. But I wanted to talk about this. This is crazy, right? In 2008, Ensemble Studios started planning a gigantic MMO set in the Halo universe. Can you imagine how big this could have been? And by the way, just to put it out there, like everyone knows, Crisis Core, this is the first time I think you're on the channel. So to make it clear, I actually have all platforms. I enjoy gaming on all platforms. I'm not solely beholden to play games on one platform. I have the Switch 2, I have the PS5 Pro legally, I have the Series X and S, I have the PS5 normal as well, but I've given that to my kid, and I have a powerful gaming PC as well. So I have everything, so it's not like I miss out on stuff. I'm not like oh, the only console I'm going to play or platform I'm going to play is Xbox. That's not the case. I play the games I want to play wherever those games are. Look, you guys have made me start saying that, all right? We codenamed it Titan. It was to take place tens of thousands of years ago before halos were set off and destroyed all sentient life in the galaxy. I was in charge of the universe, building planet histories, alien species, etc. You could play either as forerunners or their enemies, the Covenant. The Flood, of course, was in the game but not playable, so there was no like, Master Chiefs or anything like that. We had quest lines all worked out, homeworlds for all the species, etc. The lowest estimate we and Microsoft had for the game's total income was $1.1 billion. It was all brought to naught when Don Matrick, the guy that, if you don't have internet, you've always got the Xbox 360, realized that his stock bonus, it's always about that extra yacht that you need to buy, was based on the income Microsoft had from games in 3 years. You see, we estimated 3.5 years to finish Titan if we did it right, so it could potentially go to 4 or 5 years as well. And that's beyond Matrix's drop dead date because he needs that extra yacht. So by firing all of Ensemble, he didn't have to pay for our expensive studio for 3 years, and he didn't care about Titan. All he lost was a game studio who never sold less than 3 million copies of everything we made. I don't believe he did justice to Microsoft stockholders, but hey, Don started as an EA hatchet man, so what would you expect? That's crazy, man. What could have been? Do you have a GameCube? Yes, I do. I think I've got literally... there was actually a diagram. Let me see. Pick of all consoles. There was a diagram done one time that listed like all gen consoles. Here it is. It's a pretty horrible picture, though. Maybe I can get a better picture than that. Oh, that's better. So if we're looking at this is Gen 1 to Gen 10 right now. So I didn't have any Gen 1 because I wasn't alive, I don't think. I did have the Atari 2600. Then the NES, Master System, Super NES, Genesis, N64, Saturn, PS1. I didn't have, but I had access to Atari Jaguar, the GameCube, Dreamcast, PS2, Xbox, 360, PS3, Wii. Basically, I had everything from N64 era, from Gen 5 down. I've had, including all the handhelds that were available. I had access to a TurboGrafx 16. That was really cool. I never really played the Atari 7600 or the ColecoVision. You've also got other handhelds that aren't here, like the Atari Lynx, which I had access to, and so forth. But yeah, so I've been like playing games for years, and I've owned basically all of this, not that one, and these two, and these. So I've owned quite a lot. I had SNES. I said SNES. And it wasn't until this era here, Gen 5, where I remember I got a Sega Saturn first. And then there was a couple of games I wanted on the N64, like Mario 64. That was really cool at the time. And then there was some games on the PS1 I wanted. So ever since Gen 5, I've made it a personal mission to own every platform for that generation. So when I want a game, it's not a question of is this game coming out for my platform? It's I just buy the game and I play it. It doesn't matter what platform I'm on. And I've just basically had that mentality all the way through. But yeah, my first console was this one here. Was it this one? I think it was. I remember it being the 2600. Yeah, it was the 2600 because we had that joystick with that one single button. It was really cool. Centipede was awesome. Space Invaders. But yeah, so for me, it doesn't, like, I play wherever the gaming is. I go where gaming is. So that's it. But I'm not going to bash a platform for the sake of it. I'm not going to bash Sony because of something they did that doesn't deserve bashing. Now, if Xbox does something wrong, I'll bash it. If Sony does something wrong, I'll bash it. If Nintendo does it bad, I'll do the same thing. Well, probably not because they'll sue me. But, you know, outside of Nintendo, it's fair game. Commodore 64 isn't on here because I'm guessing that doesn't count as a console. But the Commodore 64 was my first ever true platform. That was great. The Last Ninja series on there was amazing. You had Track and Field, you had Run the Gauntlet, you had Rambo, you had all sorts of games, man. The Commodore 64 was a legendary hardware. I didn't get the Commodore 128 though. I know that was revolutionary for its time for the amount of RAM it was including. That 64 is basically depicting how much RAM it had, 64 kilobytes. Hey, Sin. But I'm just not that type of person to shit on a game or a platform for the sake of it. And if people don't like that, they know where the door is. Do you know what I mean? Man, I remember during the did any of you play I mean, I'm sure lots of you have played Ocarina of Time. So in Ocarina of Time, there was this one area that you went to, and you had this big whale that you had to give it fish to open its mouth, if you remember. And I remember because my younger brother was playing, and I was just constantly watching. And we spent like hours trying to get that whale's mouth to open. We couldn't do it, man. No matter what we did, we couldn't do it. We couldn't do it. We didn't know what it was. It never occurred to us to offer it the fish in the jar. Anyway, after spending about 6 hours trying to figure it out and failing miserably, we went to bed. And then my younger brother comes in. It's like 4 o'clock in the morning, right? He goes, "Wake up, wake up, wake up. I figured it out." And I was like, "What do you mean? What have you figured out?" "I know how to do that part in the game." And I'm like, "My guy, it's 4 a.m. in the morning." And he goes, "Yeah, but we've got to do it now. We've got to do it now." And so we go, put it on in the other room, and lo and behold, picks up the jar, gets the fish, feeds it, and it opens. And I was like, "How did you even know this? Considering he's been sleeping all this time." And he goes, "I dreamt it. It came in my dream." He actually dreamt up the solution. That is what you call OG. Then the next morning, my mum figured out what we actually did, and she got really upset and threw the N64 out of the what was it? The 3rd floor, with concrete on the floor, as a punishment for being stupid and waking up at that time of the morning. My mum was very strict. Of course, we had some money saved up, so we went that same day and bought another one. But we never actually told her it was the N64, and we kind of disguised it as the Saturn. She couldn't tell the difference between them at the time, so we got away with it. Good times, man. Good memories. Good memories. Like, we instantly replaced it the next day. I was like, man, all that money we saved up on pocket money. Yeah, we went and picked up a second-hand one and came back. At least the cartridge was okay, so we kept our save. So that's the most important thing. The console can die, but not the cartridge. The cartridge is what we need because that thing. You understand how young we were back then, right? But yeah, so good times, man. Good times. Good times. Good times. But what do you guys think about this whole Halo MMO that never was? You had, you know, recently I showed that Mega Bloks game, which I thought looked really cool. And it's a shame it never really materialized. I think it would have actually done well. But I understand kind of why they didn't do it. But it's still, I think it could have been fun. But this MMO could have actually been really interesting. Do you remember GameFAQs used to be where you go to for all your guides? Man, arcades back then used to cost 20 pence a credit. Now it's like £2 a credit. What is Xbox bad, Steve? I'm confused. Bad Jesse. Bad Jesse. Where's the outrage? You'll die anger. Yeah, but why is this Xbox bad? This was done metric. The 9 to do with Xbox, it was done metric. This is basically saying that this guy took his own interests over the company's interest. If it was down to Microsoft, they probably would have allowed it. Like he said down here. You know, I don't believe he did justice to Microsoft shareholders. He never took the best interest of Microsoft, so this has got nothing to do with Xbox bad. This is just Don Matrick being an idiot through and through from beginning to the end. I mean, it might be 33 FPS tarnished on the PS5 Pro. Now, the first console my parents bought me was the NES. Duck Hunt was my... I mean, aside from the Atari, right? Aside from Atari 2600, which my brothers had before me, and I played it through them. My first, like, present as a console was Gen 3, the NES. And Duck Hunt was awesome. You'll be double dipping. Honestly, I don't know if I'm... I mean, I've got zero interest in GTA 6. Like, at all. I've got none. At all. Like, the franchise, the series has never interested me. Right? I can comfortably say that I haven't bought GTA 5. Right? My kids played it through Game Pass, but I've never actually bought it. and I just don't have any interest in it. My younger brother loves the GTA series. I just never saw. It just never interested me. But you know, it is what it is. I know it's going to be massive, so by peer pressure, I might have to pick it up. But it's not a game that I would go out and immediately buy if there wasn't any peer pressure or my channel involved. Literally, the only reason would be because of my channel. I get all that, Jesse. I just don't enjoy what the game is. I just don't like what the game is. I find myself now, especially now that I've well, Wednesday is going to be my final day streaming on Twitch, and then I pass that torch on to my son, and he can do what he wants with the channel. Godspeed to him. It'll just leave me more time to play more stuff that I enjoy, because my real enjoyment are RPGs and FPSs. Those are the games I really enjoy. And GTA, or games like Alan Wake. I don't know what you would really classify that as. What does Alan Wake even go into? But GTA just doesn't fit into any of those. What's Byron saying? I think Microsoft got GTA Play Anywhere deal. Byron, how can it be Play Anywhere if it's not on PC? It needs to be a thing. Would it be classified as horror, even the original? I mean, I guess it can. Just didn't really play like one, but I don't know. I really enjoyed Alan Wake. I guess adventure games, yeah, I could see that. Yeah, and that's a shame, Tarnished. It's a real shame. The tribalism on PC is even worse than the tribalism on consoles. Considering it doesn't cost you anything to actually download that launcher. I get the tribalism on console to a certain degree because you're paying $500-600, $700 for a console, but on PC, when it's just another launcher and you can get stuff that congregate everything anyway, it to me, I will never understand that logic. I mean, I'm still seeing people today crying that they want Alan Wake 2 on Steam, or well, recently anyway, and I'm like, there was no way that I was going to not play one of my favorite games. Because it's a choice by gamers, because they just want to promote Steam. How difficult, like, what harm, Tarnish, does it have for anyone on PC to download a 2 megabyte file and install it on your hardware? Like, what's the gateway here? What's the cost of barrier? Like, if you're playing an Xbox game or a PlayStation game and it's not available on the other side, so you have to spend $700 to be able to even get through the front door before you can actually get the game for another $70. Where's the cost entry for PC? Right, and the gamers have chosen to ruin a game because they want to monopolize one platform, and that's fine, but that's on the gamers. No, you aren't obligated to do that, but people should stop crying that they want the game to appear on Steam. And they've made their profit anyway now, so Epic is happy. But at the same time, Remedy didn't have a choice. Epic Game Store pretty much bankrolled that whole game. So them having it exclusive is up to Epic. But again, I think it's just the ignorance of PC gamers. It's their loss. I'm not beholden to one platform. I'm not saying you tarnished. I'm just saying in general. There was talks about a Max Payne being remastered. So that might still be happening. Fortnite will be fine. Fortnite will live on for eternity. It's just, you know, people just love Fortnite. And they will continue to change it. Red Dead Redemption. Man, people still have. Maybe if Red Dead Redemption 2 remaster. I mean, I remember starting Red Dead Redemption 2. I got so quite far into it. If they remaster it, I might go back. Did you know that Epic Game Store games running off there, because it doesn't have the bloat, generally runs better than games on Steam? You get a few extra frames. It's just the launcher without the bloat. I've actually run a few tests side by side on both, checking the things, and you do get a few. It's not a lot. It's like 1 or 2 extra frames, 3 frames, but you do get it. And I don't understand why Epic Game Store is trash. It's a storefront. You buy games, you click launch, it boots, it runs. What more do you want from a launcher? I get wanting everything in one place. That I get, right? And that's where the Xbox app comes in, right? Perfect for it. It just has everything I want in one place. It's great. All it needs now is more customization for categories and stuff that I want to put them in. But that's it. So, Condemned has been delisted from Steam and Xbox. People are assuming that a remaster is about to come. I was actually working at Sega when this was being tested over there. It was kind of cool. I know Condemned 2 got really bad, but this one is actually a really good game. If you have it on Steam, it's great. I actually tried when I saw this to go and buy a number of them so I could give out to you guys, but unfortunately I couldn't find any. They sold out instantly. They were dirt cheap and everyone was just buying them. So I failed in my mission, but it was only the Steam version that was available. But Condemned is a good game. Maybe they're doing a remaster and that would be kind of cool. But it's a shame that this game is now lost to the annals for new players. But hey, as the saying goes, if you didn't care for it then, you shouldn't care for it now. If you cared about it enough, you would have bought it. That's my philosophy, but it's sad that it's delisted. I haven't checked how much the box version of the game is now on Xbox on eBay, because it'll probably be worth a little tiny bit. But Condemned Criminal Origins was a fun game. It was a good game from Sega. What extra features tarnished? I don't even... What features are you talking about? The exclusivity aspect is just, you know, something to cling on to. The real reason is, I don't want to open another launcher on my PC. I will have detrimental pain if I do that. That's the real reason. Let's be realistic. People just cry the moment they have to open another launcher. Look at how much they cry because Ubisoft had their own launcher. In the end, Ubisoft caved in. That's true, but ultimately, that's just what it is. They don't want to open another launcher. You know, people clinging on to that whole exclusivity thing, that's all bullshit. The super game Microsoft and Sega are partnered on are remakes of a bunch of Sega IP. There was a Sonic game in there as well, but it's not Sonic Adventure. Because that was the one that was shown off, right? God knows what's happened to that. Your achievements. Condemned was a really good game. I mean, I've got it on Steam. I've got it on 360. I mean, the game is somewhere in storage. But if you guys want one day, we can sit down and play through it. It's a good game. Sonic Shadows is good. Sonic Shadows is good. I still need to play Sonic Frontiers. You know, that was gifted to me a long time ago, and I never got around to playing it. Man, it's I feel bad. Same for Silent Hill 2. That was gifted to me as well, and I still haven't got around to playing it. But now that I'm no longer on Twitch, it gives me more time to just go and finish some games up. And gives me more time to just... Because I want to start doing some reviews as well, and previews of games and thoughts and stuff. And I just... Doing Twitch, YouTube, and my 9 to 5, which sometimes goes 9 to 7, I just didn't have enough time, as you can see, with me having to push my time out. But now I've essentially gained an extra 4 days of just free time. So it just gives me more time to be able to get through some of more of those games in a quicker fashion, get those reviews out, get those previews out, impressions out, or maybe just stream some more gaming while I'm at it. So overall, I think it's a good thing. But coming soon to Game Pass, lot of games. Dustin just says Sony might be copying. We actually talked about that over here. Where is it? We talked about that a little while ago. There's a rumor going around that there's a cross-buy PS5 PC thing going around. A rumor. This is what it looks like. So if this is an official image, clearly it's not a rumor, but it's something that Sony's definitely considering. The big question then turns around to, is it day and date, or is it going to be, you know, just games that are already available? Wait, what am I doing? What am I doing, tell us? But yeah, Call of Duty 7 Black Ops is landing soon. Jay Barry is crying that he can't wait for this game to come because apparently Battlefield is now starting to fill up with bots. Dead Static Drive Egging on Pigeon Simulator Winter Burrows. This is what I was talking about from that 75 games, right? Relic Hunters, these are premium, so they're already on Ultimate. And then you got Whiskerwood, whatever the hell that is, which is this one over here. It's a game preview. But yeah, so you got some decent games here that are coming to Game Pass this month. Funny thing is, watch Pigeon Simulator and Egging On be way more popular than everything else. They are like proper streaming games. People will love them. I don't know what the hell this Dead Static Drive is though. And this Lara Croft game, it's actually quite good. I really enjoyed it. Never finished it, but I did enjoy it. Talos, you dare call me a pony? Don't do that. You know these people are waiting to clip the first second he said it. Ah, Gorsty, who are you going to manage? Man United? I mean, we all know that you love Man United, so are you going to take them to glory and do what Amarim couldn't do? Is that what you're going to do? Mate, no one wants to manage Liverpool. Not even your own manager wants to manage Liverpool. And after the way you performed over the weekend, my God. I'm genuinely convinced now that Liverpool players go to the Mario Balotelli School of Diving, because your players are the most theatrical divers I've seen since Mario Balotelli. Guy touched it just below his neck on his chest here, and my guy was holding his face. Like, I was like, for real, you're gonna go that deep? Yeah, you beat Villa by cheating. GG. Way to be proud of a victory. I watch Bruno Fernandes all the time. He's an amazing player. He doesn't cheat in his whole life. He did not graduate from Mario Balotelli's School of Diving. Not like the Liverpool players. But yes, Football Manager is coming available today, actually, on PC and cloud console, everything on console as well. I don't know what this 1000 Resist is. I think this is a visual novel. I'm not 100% sure. But I do remember looking at it, and I checked it out before, but I can't remember what it was. But yeah, Football Manager actually took a year out because of reasons and updates and whatnot. So I'm hoping this is going to be good, and this is going to be the first Football Manager I return to in a long time. Ronaldo doesn't dive, man. Ronaldo is prestige. Yeah, I mean, I've actually got the version that I worked on. I think it's Football Manager 2007 when I was working for Sega. And I'm actually in that version of the game as well. They actually put me in there for doing such a great job with the QA and lead up to release. So once you get to a certain point and made up characters start coming in, I end up as a playable character in the game. Also credited for it as well. So yeah, I'll be interested in checking this. I'm going to check this one out for sure. Did you guys hear about MBG's Colossal Breakdown? He's really upset I figured we'd have a listen. He's so upset that his, Xbox is dead, and that his channel. I mean, just listen to him. I mean, this guy is the epitome of the standard I hold other channels to that are similar to his. It just, like, if you have to rely on the demise of one platform in order for your channel to be successful, I think there's something wrong there. And that's why I don't do any of that on this channel. I kind of cover a bit of the news. I interact with you guys. We talk about what's going on. And yeah.
Well, Piper, I don't, for me, I don't think it's so much doom and gloom towards Xbox anymore. And I know this is going to sound dramatic, but it's just like mourning. It's like Xbox dead. Like, there's this whole conversation of like, is Xbox dead? Are they not? It's like, no, they're not dead. Like, obviously they're not, but something did die. Something, a major part of Xbox's, of what made Xbox what it was, and was a major part of its identity, has been erased.
Oh no, Brick. That sucks. I appreciate that, Tellus. Man, he is mourning like crazy. He's really, really not happy.
And has been buried. And Microsoft was the one who did it intentionally. And there are people who see that as a good thing. There are people who see that as a bad thing. Just like if Sony did that tomorrow. If Sony came out and said, we're done with exclusives, we're putting everything everywhere, you would see people saying they're dead. You would see people saying this is the best it's ever been. You'd see people saying this is great. See people saying this is horrible. But the thing that I focus on, I guess, because I'm just one person,
Do you honestly think today, if Sony came out and said, and this is a genuine question, if Sony came out and said, we're done with exclusives, maybe they'll be timed, but our games will go everywhere, do you believe that that will destroy PlayStation as a brand? Personally, I don't think it will. That's my personal opinion. I don't think it will. I think, there will continue to be. You'll get the odd few who says, right, well, I'm going to go to PC, and that's fine. But I still see those people that care about their trophies and everything else and their back catalog. They're just going to continue on with the console. I don't see this whole, I don't see it the way they do, right? I don't. And let's face it, in the next 15, 20 years, max, everything's going to be an app anyway. So, we've probably got like maybe 1 or 2 generations of consoles left before they don't exist anymore. They're just going to be boxes of PCs, an app on your PC. Like, that's where it's all heading. I mean, cloud gaming is going to be the next real area for contention with the whole warring side, and that's what Microsoft has been preparing themselves for, because the cloud wars are going to happen, and Microsoft has prepared itself quite well. But that's where it's going in the next 10-15 years. So I really don't get like this whole doomsday scenario where if you don't have exclusives, it's fine. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm not going to sit here and be hypocritical. Halo was going, I'd made a video, I was not happy about that. I still feel like there should be at least like some form of identity, but for the majority of the games, it doesn't matter. But even then, even Halo, like thinking about it rationally, doesn't matter.
Always focus on is what Xbox was to me. What Xbox was to me, I mean, it basically was like the Joker to Batman, or what Batman is to the Joker. It's like it was always that kind of rivalry where like these two competitors need each other to a degree to always operate at a high level and keep, it creates a kind of a bigger picture that
He couldn't say it, but what he means is competition. Competition is good. No matter how small that competition is, it is good. And at the end of the day, competition helps to keep prices down. It helps to provide better quality. It provides, all sorts of things, because the companies are trying viably to take you and your time over to their side, and that is where it all stems from. But when companies no longer need to try for your time, they don't need to make any effort for your time, the overall quality goes down, because they don't have to care anymore, because they know that if there is no competition, then all they have to do is just release whatever they release substandard, and people can either buy it or leave it, and people are going to buy it because that's all there is. They can increase prices, they can be as anti-consumer as they want, and there's nothing people can do about it. So I think now that the reality is hitting these people with the whole Xbox is dead, I think now they're realizing that that possible future is getting closer and closer. And Sony's complacence, obviously, as we've seen, I mean, look at it during the PS3 era. They were getting battered by the 360, and they really doubled down in the second half to pull it back. The PS4 era, they went out for the kill. They just were releasing exclusives and bangers after bangers, and they did a really good job. But with the PS5 era, once again, they took their foot off the pedal. And now they're going from like 2-3 exclusives a year from first party to 1. And if that's a miss, it's a miss. Can you imagine next year the only exclusive they get is going to be Marathon? Yay. Paris, that's basically what I've been saying. Also, welcome to the show, Paris.
I find more interesting and more engaging overall.
Sorry, I meant Fair Games, not Marathon. Also, I do have to ask, Paris, why are you so popular among the PlayStation community? They really do like to go after you. Like a lot. It's like, as I'm scrolling, I've got nothing better to do than take your quotes and start talking about it. Has to be annoying at some point.
The reason why I'm on PlayStation is because Sony fought very hard to bring me over here. You could make the argument that it was overkill.
I mean, how did Sony fight? Oh, no doubt, Paris. No doubt. Wolverine's confirmed for next year. I know it's slated for next year, but it's not confirmed.
Like I started with the I bought into the Xbox One, and
to be fair, buying into the Xbox One was probably the worst era for Xbox. I know they sold 60 million units, but they had a bad time during that period. He bought in amongst the after the glory days of the 360, so I can see some of that sort.
I'm like, this is good. A little worried, but I was still there, and a couple years went by, and I'm like, bro, yeah, the flip flopper. Well, dude, that's the thing. It's like
See, there's this term that goes around with whole flip flopping, right? If you let's say you switch from Xbox to PlayStation or PlayStation to Xbox or whatever, but you're the type of person that isn't like D-Batch, where he just has to shit on Xbox because that's the only way he's going to get views or anything else. That's a proper flip-flopper. If you don't do any of that and you're just enjoying the games and you're finding more value on the other side, That's fine. I don't see a problem with that. But if you like move from one platform to the other, and the sole purpose of doing it is so you can shit on the other side and find some form of monetary gain, that's kind of sad, right?
It was what Sony was doing with the PS4 that eventually it made me cave, and I'm like, I can't deny that. Like, this is the good shit. Like, this is the good shit that I'm like asking Microsoft for, and they're not bringing it. And I'm just saying, it's like Sony did that. Like, what they were trying to do, they succeeded at doing. And I guess it just would be interesting if Microsoft was able to kind of like rally and come back and be like, oh, Sony, that's great. You got The Last of Us, you got Horizon and Bloodborne. Well, check out what we got. But that never happened. Like, that moment never happened. And unfortunately, it just seems like they had, Microsoft had basically a couple plays left to make that happen. And they never executed on any of those plays. And by the time they made their biggest play, which is the $80 billion acquisitions, it's like, time's up. The buzzer, it's over, like.
So that's not really. I can see what Microsoft were doing with that $80 billion acquisition, but at the same time, the plans for where they were going and where they wanted to be were already set in motion from. I mean, you all saw that 2019 interview. I didn't see that at all. Like, I missed that interview entirely back in the day. And watching it now, you can see that the plan was in motion. ABK, just like Tim Stewart said, ABK accelerated our plans by 10 years. So it was always the plan to be here where we are, to unify them. Unify the two OSs. I mean, technically, the OG Xbox was running on Windows kernel 2000, Windows 2000 kernel. The 360 was running on Windows 2000. The Xbox One and the Series consoles are running on Windows 10. Right? They're just running on a modified version of Windows 10 that's customized with the Xbox OS. But essentially, the root of those platforms are Windows. And so unifying them was always on the cards. And he said that in 2019.
It's like they went to go do the full court shot. You're down by like.
The one thing I will agree on, though, is that during the ABK case, Microsoft sacrificed a lot. And whether some people say it's worth it or wasn't worth it is up to it's down to your interpretation. But they stopped releasing games during that 3-year trial. They made themselves look as weak as humanly possible. They kept digging that grave deeper and deeper to, show the FTC just how, vulnerable they were within the industry and how small they were within the industry. And all this while, Sony was capitalizing on that and just building on that market share. So whether some will argue it was worth or not is down to interpretation. Personally, I don't think it was. But in the end, what seems to have happened was, yes, this was always the goal, but I think they just dug a hole too deep and they didn't have an exit plan or an exit strategy and they couldn't get out. And so they pivoted faster to where they are now than they would have liked. And then obviously a big transition like this is going to take 3-4 years on top of that. So there's been a lot of disruption, but now, we're seeing the fruits of those acquisitions. Well, not really seeing much from ABK, just COD, right? If I'm not mistaken, none of the ABK games have really appeared on Game Pass. They're drip feeding one game a year, or two at best, which I think is crazy. When ZeniMax came, pretty much the full flood went onto Game Pass. So why that's the case, I don't know, but I guess it's because they're still making a lot of money from people buying those games. That's the only thing I can think of. But that 3-year period where Microsoft just stopped doing anything realistically is the period where they lost pretty much all the ground. And it was a choice. And they knew the consequences. And so now they're doing this, and I think it's not a bad thing overall. You get access to more games as a consumer. So it is what it is.
3 points or either 2 points or whatever. They do the full court shot and they make it, but it's like the buzzer or, you know, the buzzer rang right before they shot it. It's like, that's crazy. You did it, guys. You finally did what you had to do. It came in a different way. It's not the best analogy, but
But also, think of it logically, right? Microsoft bought ABK. The moment they bought ABK, they lost all the cloud rights, so they couldn't, you know, they were told you can't put those games on xCloud. You know, they've just paid $80 billion and they had to basically not have those games on their cloud service. They can have it on external cloud services, but not on their own after paying $80 billion. That's crazy. Secondly, after paying $80 billion, they're not allowed to make any of the games like COD exclusive. Like, they own the damn game, but the regulators are saying, no, you can't do that. Like, this whole landscape would have looked very different if they turned around and made it exclusive or had exclusive maps or stuff like this that gave them the edge over the other one. Just look at Hogwarts Legacy. You know, it had that extra game mode that you had in town, but that was enough for people to go and choose the PlayStation version over another version. If it has something extra, people will go for the one that gives them more value. Microsoft aren't even allowed to do that with COD. If they make the Xbox version better than the PlayStation version, they will be in contempt of court. They will have failed what they're doing. They can't make the Xbox version better than the PlayStation version. They're just not allowed to do that by the decree that they signed. So, yes, they bought ABK, but it's not what he's saying here. They bought it while being handcuffed. They're so limited in what they can do with the franchise that they bought. I mean, what else can they actually do? If you buy it, you can play it. That's their way to get around it. If you buy Diablo, you can play it. I mean, they couldn't even advertise it, for God's sake. On their official channel, they had to use it on the other side. You know, Sony had that exclusive game mode on Call of Duty for a whole year. If they can do that now, yeah, but it wasn't available at the time. They couldn't do that at the time. So they were really handcuffed in what they could do. And it sucks, right? You pay all that money for a company and you can't utilize them how you want. It just feels silly. It sounds silly, no? And so they were already handicapped with it.
it just feels like, you know, they were supposed to turn it around. And I don't know. It just feels like things were supposed to be different. And this is why I'm saying, like, the next generation truly is going to be different, because you know what Sony's not going to have? Sony's not going to have an aggressive Microsoft.
That's the problem. That's the problem. And I think we're going to see a really, really bad Sony next generation. And this is what now they're all afraid of. This is what they're truly afraid of, because without an aggressive Microsoft to compete against Sony, they can do what they like. And there's no one to stop them, because you're not going to compete against Nintendo. No one cares about Nintendo. They do their own thing. Only Nintendo fans care about Nintendo.
And that makes me a little sad. You know, Microsoft is going to be there, obviously. Like, they're not gone, but Microsoft's going to be passive, dude. And that's what's going to be so different this time around, is like, when we, back in 2020, we watched the Future of Gaming event for the PS5 in June, and we were like,
Then maybe it was just the other games. Then maybe they made an agreement with Ubisoft for that one, because Ubisoft holds all the cloud rights. Diablo wasn't available. I don't even know if it still is available.
Holy shit, bro. It just got real. But then in July, it's like Microsoft's like, it's our turn now. And we're like, let's see what you got. And when we were done, we were like, oh, geez. You know, it's like, okay, they have Craig. And, you know, there was like this layer of disappointment. And the doom and gloom comes at that point. The doom and gloom was, you guys got to be like.
That's the whole Halo situation. I mean, you can check. Diablo was definitely not available.
What? You know, like, still? And yeah, man, now it just kind of feels like going into 2027, there's going to be an Xbox showcase, but it's like, it's a PS5 showcase now, too. And they'll show a device, but it's like, that device is not going to hit because it's you know, I don't know. I think it's like,
Yes, Steve, because they had to pay Ubisoft money. Now, I believe Diablo 4 is the loophole they found for the ABK games is if you buy it, you can stream it if you buy it outright. And so that's the loophole Microsoft found, because Ubisoft wanted a lot of money to get those games over, you know, put those games over because of the CMA. But all of this is going to change once that 10-year contract is up and Microsoft regains access. Then there is going to be no CMA. There's going to be no anything. And it's going to be... You're going to have Game Pass as a cloud platform, which is going to have all of them. And my assumption is going to be that they're going to pull all their games from all the other cloud companies and say, right, if you want to play these games on the cloud, this is the place you got to be at. That's the smart business move to do anyway. They're stuck there for 10 years, and that's fine. That's put a bottleneck, you know, a hard block on them for 10 years. But after that, that's what I would do. I wouldn't let people go anywhere else. I'd tell them, you want to play all these games, the Call of Duties and everything else? You come to me. You come to my cloud platform, and you play it where I'm at. And you give me all that money. And... you know, with all the studios that they've got, all the acquisitions that they've done, and I'm sure they're going to add to it over time, it will be the place, the best place for cloud gaming in terms of just the majority of stuff. They just need to make the service better. A lot better.
when I look at the Xbox ROG Ally, I'm like, dude, like, I don't think anybody cares about this thing, man.
I do, and I can't buy one because they're sold out in the UK. Yeah, that's correct, Steve. They're not allowed. Unless you buy it, I think. And they're adding more and more games to the buy and play on cloud.
And that's fine, because it's like Microsoft is like, well, that's fine. We don't really care if they care about it. It's like, okay. But to take that to the next level with the whole console, I'm like, I don't know, man. Like, Sony's going to come out and really try to fucking beat us over the head about why we're going to need a PS6. Like, we're going to want a PS6, bro. I think Microsoft's just going to come out and be like, buy our games. And that's fine. Like, I'm not saying that's wrong. It's just, it's the fact that it's Microsoft. It's Xbox. It's like, that wasn't ever supposed to be Xbox. You know? Like, Xbox was supposed to be the one to say, no. Don't buy Sony's console. Buy our console. Because check this shit. But maybe it was never meant to be that way. Maybe the Xbox 360 fucked me up completely. Because the 360 was a fluke. And it's like, that was a one-off anomaly. And it was never supposed to be like that.
That's not true at all. The 360 did well because Microsoft went all in, right? They went all in. They were getting those games like Lost Odyssey and Blue Dragon and so forth. They were getting all of these really good games onto their platform. They didn't do that during the Xbox One era, and that's a shame. But I think during the Xbox One era, the whole ABK thing started and whatnot. They had a really bad launch with Xbox One. Then, halfway through, it actually got to the point where they were thinking of dropping the Xbox One entirely as a console and just abandoning gaming entirely. And that's when Phil came in and pushed Game Pass. That's when Mojang came in as well, I believe, not long after that, to offer them Minecraft. And it was really Minecraft at that point and their investment on Minecraft that allowed Phil to push this ideal of Game Pass, with games being on a service. And yeah, we are here today. So, you know, he's factually wrong in a number of areas. The specs for Black Ops 7 doesn't look that demanding, right? It's got recommended is an i7 6700K. That sounds like a 6 series. Jesus. The recommended is an i7 10 series. In terms of RAM, you need 16 gigabytes. Video card recommended is competitive 4K Ultra. Competitive specs run at high FPS for use with high resolution monitor and ultra specs in 4K resolution. So there's no information about it being upscaled. So that's kind of cool. The 4080 and the 5070 is pretty commendable for a full-on 4K. 3060 for recommended is to run at 60 FPS. It's cool. Video memory up to 16 gigabytes, so RIP for those on 8 gig. But hey, minimum it runs on is 3 gigs, so it looks like it's well optimized, like Call of Duty normally is. OS minimum is Windows 10 and maximum is Windows 11. It's going to use a staggering 116 gigabytes at launch, so it's going to get bigger. In order to run it, you need to have TPM and secure boot are required to play Call of Duty Black Ops 7. Specs are valid, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. PC handheld runs on most Windows-based handhelds, optimized visuals and performance for on-the-go play, sharper text for smaller screens, smart power and things. So I'm guessing it has easy anti-cheat on this one, so it probably won't run on the Steam Deck. I've read the small print. There's nothing here about upscaling or FSR or anything. The recommended drivers, storage space listed. Only Intel AMD processors, AVIO instructions are supported at this time. Intel Arc GPUs require resizable bar. So yeah, it seems to be really well optimized. These specs are not bad for a new game. The Haunting is probably a Halloween event for zombies. Oh no, this is just literally just PC spec. There's no consoles here. But the 360 is where the baseline consoles are, right? So the 3060. So that probably around here is where consoles will appear, running at 60 FPS, which is pretty decent. And then for those on high-end rigs, will be here. I wonder if my 1390 will run this. I've got a 2K monitor anyway, so I should be good for high FPS, which is sweet. So, Square Enix with their HD 2D games, which has been doing the rounds actually. It's been pretty successful. 1 month until Octopath Traveler launches, for those of you that are interested. It's gonna be available December the 4th, 2025. I don't know what it should be available on all platforms, but hopefully you guys will enjoy it. Palworld seems to be getting another leg up over Nintendo. Nintendo's patent infringement lawsuit against Palworld to be re-examined by the US Patent Office. USPTO Director John A. Squires has personally ordered, at his own initiative, that the organization should re-examine Nintendo's patents. Wah, wah, wah. So Nintendo about to get bitch slapped by everyone, and this is a good thing. Nintendo really did push their luck with a lot of this stuff, and quite rightly they should be looked at and re-examined. Metroid is out on the 4th as well, yeah. Have a good night, Ghosty. But yeah, this is really great news. Really great news. And I hope more patents that they have get re-examined and redone, because some of these patents really are just silly. And the only reason that they're there is to, you know, try and stop other people making a game around the same genre. And Palworld is super popular, so they're just going after them for that reason. You don't see them going after Temtem because it's just not a popular game. Hopefully, Tarnished. Hopefully, Nintendo needs a bit of a, you know, a slap. Blop 7 zombies, mate. That's all you care about with Blop 7 zombies. On the bright note, Nintendo has updated its sales numbers as of their latest financial earnings. The Switch 2 has already reached 10.36 million units. That's actually kind of crazy. In 3 months, it's hit 10.36 million. The Switch 1 has sold 154.01 million units. Apparently, it's 10,000 shy from beating the DS, which was 154.02. So that's likely going to eclipse sometime very soon in the coming weeks. This also means that they're getting closer to Sony's 160 million. So I definitely expect Sony to come out with, oh, we found like this receipt over here that shows that we sold an extra 3 million units. You know how they did with the whole 5 million units coming out of nowhere. So they're probably going to pull that act again to try and distance themselves further away from Nintendo. But Nintendo is getting close because the Switch 1 is still selling like crazy. Donkey Kong Bonanza has sold almost 3.5 million units to a player base of 10 million. That is a really good attach rate. That's crazy. That's like 30%. That's over 30%. That's insane. That's crazy. Normally your attach rate is like 3-4%, 5%, and you're over the moon. But that's insane. Based on Mario Kart has sold 9.57 million units. To be fair, though, it was bundled with a lot of the consoles, so there is that. But it's still sold almost as many as the goddamn console. That's crazy. The S2 was shipped, not sold. That doesn't matter, right? PlayStation fans say shipped equals sold. They get their money, so that's all that matters. So they can't be moving the goalposts now. I'm too old for COD PvP nowadays. I'm only competitive in Gears because it's second nature with the wall bouncing Nasher. Ah, so you only like to play cheap games. Okay, I see how it is. New Nintendo games? No. So Nintendo doesn't do generations. They will take your Switch 1 games and work them on Switch 2, but they will not do Switch 2 games and make them work on Switch 1. Switch 2 games, specific like Metroid Prime 4, will be a Switch 2 game. I'm not sure if that's actually built on Switch 1 though. But majority of their games are Switch 2 only. There is no skill involved in wall bouncing. You just said yourself it's muscle memory. That's not skill. Nintendo has raised its projections for hardware sales from 15 million to 19 million units for the year. If it manages to hit 19 million units, it will have outsold the PS5 in its first year of doing trade. I ain't got muscle memory. I don't play Gears. I play good games like Halo. I mean, who wants to play a game with Carbine?
Killer celebrates 20 months of membership. Watch
Come on.
Ponies be switches a handheld, not console.
Hey, Chili. Watch Ponies be switches a handheld console. I don't know what happened to my text to speech. It's just completely died. But I appreciate the membership. Thank you so much, dude. What, you guys can hear TTS? I can't hear it. I don't know where it is. Interesting. So why can't I hear it? Hmm. Ah, I think I know why. Someone needs to drop another membership so I can test this. Totally not trying to leech off people. But I think that might be it. Enjoyed speaking with you. Hey, Reezy, how's it going? Hey, Rachie. No, I didn't hear it. I had monitor off, yeah, for some reason. It turned off on its own. Hyrule Warriors continues that whole escapade with Metro naturally being a PlayStation predominant comic that gave it a 4 out of 10, but everyone else gave it a, I mean, you can see, right? Anything that's, you know, Universal or Nintendo gave it between 7 and 8. A PlayStation newspaper in the UK, 4 out of 10. I mean, you can't make this up. You can't make this up. I'd love to read that review if it was available. But yeah, you can see the salt coming from them fanboys. Spicy dill pickle chips. I don't know about that one, Chief. I don't know. For those of you that love the whole Expedition 33, there is a book that's about to be coming. International partners. Many of you have expressed interest in an official art book. Well, it's here and it's coming, so stay tuned. Expedition 33 art book will be done by Pix and Love Games. Excited, anyone? Anyone looking forward to this? I guess it's not available in Brazil. Or Mexico, for that matter. Apparently Canada as well, potentially. Man, you guys, you got a perfectly good art book and you're all saying no. I don't know if any of you saw my exchange here with the captain. So Doc asks, is Forza Motorsport an Xbox game? And so this fella over here says he's playing it on his PlayStation. And I said, no, you're not. Because you can't, right? It's not available on the platform. It's only Horizon is. And so then this captain decided that he's going to double down on it and try and think. And he posts this as his gotcha, that Forza Motorsport is available on PlayStation. I don't even know what to say anymore. Like, well, what do you say in this situation? And then he tried to move the goalpost by saying, you know what he meant when he said he's playing it. Like, no. But what do you do in this situation? Huh? I mean, it's like, my guy, there's a special kind of stupid floating around. And I don't know what it is, and I don't know why it's there, but my guy is just crazy. Oh, what's this? That isn't what I spelled. What are you doing? That's better. No, even after we were talking to him, he doubled down on it, Chili. He doubled down on it. And then he tried to change the whole conversation and saying, you know what he meant, when we're all talking about a different game. He could have easily said, you know what, I'm mistaken the game, that's fine, it's a thing. But no, he doubled down on it, saying it was available and he was playing it. And then he turned around and tried to use the gotcha by saying, I'm playing all these games on PC. And I'm like, whoopie-doo. It's like, but yeah, it's interesting. Like this guy is. Nah, he doubled down on it. There is no way he's getting that confused. I told him it's a different game. I literally told him it's a different game, and he still doubled down on it. If I told you that Forza Motorsport is not Horizon, and you are still going to double down on it, there is no confusion there. There is nothing. This guy was just plain stupid. I mean, he's like that all the time, but this one was something special, right? Did anyone see this? I haven't seen it in my Xbox Insider. I didn't get this activity. But apparently Xbox is asking people about Ghost of Yotei. We are looking to understand how you feel about recently released game you may have played. If you played Ghost of Yotei since it came out, please take a minute to fill out a short survey about your experience. Why would Microsoft be asking about Ghost of Yotei? Nah, at this point, Steve, I'm convinced he's a PlayStation guy. He says he's got a PlayStation. In fact, he says he's got a PS5 Pro. You got to be an enthusiast to get a Pro, right? If you're a PC gamer. I mean, they didn't. Why not bring Tsushima first instead of Yotei? And also, why ask this question on an Xbox Insider server? I don't know. I find this weird. Hey, Oreo, what's up? I found it really weird. It just, I don't know. It was just a little odd to me that this question was being asked. Yeah, I mean it's an odd question, right? No matter how you look at it, it's odd. At least to me. Man, everyone is going crazy about the whole Frostbite thing with PlayStation. Like real crazy. Oh shit. The least weird thing Xbox did in the last month. What about this? So apparently this just happened. The Battlefield 6. Take a shower. You have been playing for 16 hours straight. We cannot allow you to continue onto Battlefield 6 servers. We have restricted your account for a few hours. Please take a break. We have an obligation to keep our players and community safe. This ban is only temporary. Please try again soon. I'm like, damn. I mean, there's a whole basically, as I was saying on Boom's podcast, anything that's available on PC, in my opinion, is fair game to go to Xbox, because the whole porting process, because both of them are on XGDK, they run on the same code base language. It's way easier to port from PC to Xbox than it would be from PlayStation to Xbox. So this could also be an indication that Yote is going to PC real soon. I mean, they said something like 3 months, right? That it was going to go to PC. And so we'll see if that's actually true or not. But games going from PC to Xbox is a lot easier because of the code base. So to me, any game that's on there that is on thing is, you know, fair game. Although I have heard also from the blue side that if Spider-Man comes along, that's not a first-party PlayStation game. It's a licensed deal and doesn't count. I think they're getting worried now. The fact that they've made excuses now for Horizon and Spider-Man tells me that, you know, they're getting a little worried. "14 blocked you from getting EXP after 2 hours." Yeah, they did. They did. It was only 2 hours as well. It's like, why are you doing this? Why? Why would you do this? Like, there's no need for it, man. But it is what it is. I only got 1 or 2 more things. So I got... This is the whole thing that I was talking about earlier with Horizon. Withholding a finished Xbox port doesn't protect PlayStation's position. It only forfeits potential revenue and engagement. If Sony is willing to release exclusives on Steam and Epic, which don't drive hardware sales, then bringing them to Xbox would be a logical lateral step. And this is what Colt had to say.
A little bird told me that the PlayStation ports of Xbox games have been canceled. So apparently, Lego Horizon, the Lego Aloy game that came out 2 years ago or a year and a half ago, the port for that on Xbox is completely done, and PlayStation is just sitting on it because they don't know what to do with it. They don't know how well, if it'll sell, and they have completely canceled the what was once completely greenlit, the Horizon Zero Dawn, the 2017 game.
Sorry, chat. My cat's crying. I just need to go and open the door for him. Alright, you want to go out to firework? That's what you want to do? You want to firework up your ass? Go. Go ahead. I'll check the window in a few minutes to see you crying and going to try and come back in. Enjoy the wilderness. Mate, as soon as that firework goes off, he is going to cry and run back in like there's no tomorrow. Such is the way. Horizon Zero Dawn is a great game. I will praise that game. Forbidden West, not so much. I just didn't enjoy it. Maybe it was because of the bugs, the glitches, the potential what looked like loss of progress. But overall, I thought the story was just way weaker. The reasonings for there to be a sequel, I just don't think they made a good enough story. The original story was a lot better. The secondary story just felt meh. And really bloated. Oh, you're free to disagree. I'm not saying my opinion is gospel, Big Bad Mo. That is why. Great sleep, Ada. You almost had me in the first half, man. You almost had me in the first half.
Game. Horizon Zero Dawn. the Horizon Zero Dawn remaster or whatever, they completely canceled the Xbox version. They were going to port it over, and there's two reasons why we're not going to see it come to Xbox and be sold with an Xbox banner on the top and have an Xbox version. One reason is that PlayStation already knows that in about 2 years or less than 2 years, you'll be able to play all of PlayStation's best games, talking 50 of their tentpole titles are on Epic and Steam. You'll be able to play them on the hybrid Xbox console.
And that is what I said on Boom's stream, right? I said when he asked me, do I think that this is going to appear? I said it's debatable because of that one reason there. Because Sony know they might not see it valuable enough. But at the same time, Shuhei Yoshida said porting games costs almost nothing in the grand scheme, and it prints money. So if they've already built it, that means they've already paid the porting cost. Not releasing it is just losing money. Because even if they sell 100,000 units, they've made a profit instantly, because it's not they're not developing the game from scratch. It's being ported, right? They don't need to sell 1 million units or 2 million units. Even selling like 100,000 or 200,000 units is enough for them to make a profit. So when you think of it logically like that, withholding doesn't make any sense, even if it's going to be readily available for the next generation. Because at the end of the day, not everyone is going to upgrade to the next gen, right? There's this also. We don't know in the future how games are going to be released. Are those games going to be released on the Xbox OS and the PC? Are they going to be released specifically for the PC Game Pass only? We don't know, right? We don't know what the support is going to be in terms of previous gen, or how long that's going to last, or if it's going to last at all. We do know that when it comes to Game Pass PC and Xbox Series X, it's essentially the same code, it just scales higher. They use better textures on PC and unlock the options for you to have it. That's why in certain games you don't have like DLSS access, but you do on Steam, because it's just not there. It's an extra piece of code that wasn't programmed in, because all they're doing is taking the Xbox code and pushing it up. Now, will that be available? Will that not be available? And if it's not, then there's definite value in releasing it now, as opposed to not releasing it at all. But if it will, it's a conundrum of a question, but it really depends on where that support is going next year. But this was something that I actually said to Boom as well at the time. It really depends on how they look at it going forward. But if you've already built it, then I don't really see why you wouldn't.
The other thing is that because Phil Spencer has waved the white flag and has folded like a card table.
So, Crisis, what do you think of my reputation? Do you think I have a shoddy reputation? I'm actually curious. Have a good night, Steve. I think Sony's going to rather have that 70% instead of 30%, so would get off of... I mean, yeah, they'll make money off it. They'll definitely make money off it. You know, there's no two ways about it. They'll definitely make a profit over it. I do think, despite the fact that a lot of Xbox gamers don't like these over-the-shoulder games and whatnot, I still think that there's a good portion. I mean, don't forget, like, a lot of the people on social media, it probably covers, like, what, 1% of the gaming Xbox community? Maybe 2%, 5% max? I don't... You know, we're talking 30 million people. That 5% is a big number, right? The most of the casuals out there would probably buy it. They'd go for it. Now, what would be interesting is if it actually went on Game Pass. That would be a bit of a question. That would be actually quite amusing. But I can see the Lego one going on Game Pass and being available to buy as well. But anything else I can't see. But, yeah. Oh, you feel like Phil Spencer did not fold it like a table? I haven't watched all of this, so I'm guessing that's coming up now, Dion. So I'll leave your comment and I'll look into it. I'll respond to that after.
They are like, we're not going to put our games on Xbox. Like, we're done. We were thinking about it. We were going to do it.
There's no point.
But if they're going to give up and not try and not compete directly with us and go against TikTok, which we'll cover that in a minute.
Yeah.
We're not making Horizon Zero Dawn for Xbox, and we're not even going to. Why spend the time with our studios making Xbox games when they're going to get them anyway? So.
Yeah, he's really better at the moment, isn't he? He's really, really better. Like, everyone knows that when Matt Booty and Satya talked about TikTok, it's about time. It's always been about time. It's never been about anything else. But last year when Reggie Phil, ex-Nintendo guy, and Sean Layden were talking about the same exact things and how they foresaw that the future of gaming was going to come second to stuff like TikTok, because that's where people are spending most of their time, and that's where gaming is in trouble because it needs to kind of get their attention and bring it over to their side. No one batted an eye, but the moment Phil or anyone from Xbox says this, it's the end of the world. It's, you know, the apocalypse. And this is where, you know, to a certain degree, what Crisis is saying is true. There is this massive hatred towards Xbox. It's, you know, it's undeniable. And this is why people say that there is that Xbox tax, because people are just hating on Xbox because it gets them the views, which is exactly what he said, gets them the clicks, which is exactly what he said, and gets them, you know, a higher standing, which is exactly what he said. If you're doing that all and not being truthful to yourself, or not being, you know, you're not reporting the truth, that in essence is what people are calling the Xbox tax. And that right there is proof of it. And you can see, you know, Paul, I think, honestly, is trying to somehow shimmy his way around it. I don't know what he's doing at the moment. I feel like he's stuck in limbo at the moment. He's not sure if he should be angry or not, because he built his whole identity around just Xbox. And that's something I've tried really hard to not do. Personally, I know it's kind of always leaned in that direction, but I've always tried to bring other stuff in and talk about other stuff as well, where it's cool tech, cool news, cool information. And I've always tried to add that little bit in to not lean heavily into that one side. And, you know, and this is why if a game is good, I will say it's good, and I will disagree with people when they tell me Astrobot was a shit game, because it wasn't, right? My review of that was a 93 out of 100. I really enjoyed it, right? Go check out my review if you don't believe me. So I just think he's stuck in limbo at the moment and he doesn't know which way to turn. But he's, I think he's being dragged a bit by MAG as well in terms of opinion and kind of pushing that way, which is, again, you've got to hustle. But going back to what you said, Dion, I feel that Phil Spencer did not fold it like a table. I think he just was open till the fact that if you put your games everywhere, you can make more money for the company, be the biggest developer. I mean, let me find that video that I had made. I think I've got the link in there. Turns out 2 people in this stream didn't like my opinion and decided to unsub. I appreciate you. Now we've gone from 11 to 13 to hit our target. It's still possible, people, if you're new to the channel, to get to 8,000.
There's no world where...
I think it started from about 18. And I don't know how many of you have seen this, but I did go over it, the important part in my video.
This idea that our focus is on that the only way for any of us to succeed again is by pulling down somewhere else. Just isn't the way that the industry works today. It just isn't.
It isn't, but as a kid growing up playing these games with these two consoles, it does mean something. And that was a historical perception I've had. It was very, it's very, when I look at the picture, and I looked at it first, I was like, whoa, what is this? For me, it's shocking. As a
what
consumer.
picture?
Satya and Sony, do you have a shaking of hands
Yeah.
saying this, and that's a shocking image.
But like, we're one of the biggest publishers on PlayStation. We ship Minecraft there. Like, we have a great business on Sony PlayStation with Nintendo Switch, and the people there are trying to do the best job to deliver the right experience to their customers. I understand why it can be shocking.
I can also understand the way that you view it. We have Minecraft, but then it's also like there's also just the public perception that's just been built up by years and years of marketing from the companies, years and years of the way that, like, as a kid you go to this person's house, they got an Xbox, I got a PlayStation, and there's these.
So the question I'd ask you
allegiances,
is, do you think that actually helps grow gaming? And if I think about any other form of entertainment, think about bands. Like, do I have to, man, I hope this band has a bad album so that my band, like, it's such it's the growth in gaming. How are we going to grow gaming? By reaching more players, making games as accessible as possible.
Let's flip it and say by competition.
Did you hear that? This was 2019, by the way.
By reaching more players, making games
and that's always been the goal for Microsoft. That's always been the goal. But there are Xbox Central content creators that literally actively harm the brand so badly. There is a reason why most neutral gaming channels never defend Xbox. I mean, you noticed that too, right? I mean, people don't defend... If you're neutral or anti-Xbox, you're not going to defend Xbox because doing that doesn't get you views. Hating on Xbox does. It's really that simple. It is what it is. I do think that some, there are some that go out their way on our, there's such a thing called toxic positivity, where no matter what they do, it's going to be singing high praises. And I think that's wrong as well, which is something I don't do. And, I used to have like 120, 150 people watching me, but because I don't sing Kumbaya Xbox, they stopped coming over, and that's fine. But like I said, I'm not a sellout, and I'm not gonna lower my integrity or my dignity to say things just for views. I give my opinion, and that's it. Force, I think that's basically it. That's true. It is crisis, and that's just, I'm just not going to do that. If it means I have to close my channel in the end, and it's not going to be a success, then that's fine. But I'd rather add content to my channel, which is what I'm trying to do now by adding, reviews and previews and stuff like that to the channel to make it more valuable than just build a channel built on hate. Because that's just not me. I don't want to build a channel built on hate. I refuse to do that. I'd rather just close the channel down. Literally, I'd rather just turn the channel off and be done with it and not stream again. Yeah, like Tim Dog is trying that now and everything. Dreamcast guy's been doing it forever. I just don't want to do that. And if people don't like that, that's fine. And like I said, I used to have like 150 people watching me, dude. But because I don't sing the Kumbaya line, they stopped because they want to go to places that speak nothing but praises for Xbox. And that's fine. But if they've done bad, I will call them out. And if they've done good, I'll call them out. And I have done. And I do the same for PlayStation. I do the same for Nintendo. I just don't cover Nintendo as much because I'm genuinely concerned about their lawyers. They come after you for any reason. You heard what they did to that kid, right? He was streaming one of the games on Ryuzu on Twitch, and I think they sued him for like $50 million. Yeah, I ain't touching Nintendo. I don't want to go anywhere near them. I don't even want to talk about them. When you got crazy shit like that happening, like that's not even proportional. And see, that's why when, I get, PS5 people coming into my community, like Heatwave said here, I keep it real on both PlayStation and Xbox. I appreciate that because that is what I aim to do. I like to cover everything. Yeah, Banks 50 million. That's it. That guy's life is it's done. It's done. I just like to be honest. Obviously, I've got my opinions as well, and I air my opinions, and sometimes my opinions piss people off. That's fine, but it is my opinion, and I'm allowed to air it. And just like I give everyone a voice in chat, as long as they're not being toxic or annoying or trying to deliberately antagonize in my chat and piss people off, or just trying to piss everyone off or trying to piss me off, I give them a fair shout. I said Yoti is a good game, but to me it is not as good as the original because I like the story. For me, story is paramount. That comes above everything. The setting and the story is first, gameplay and everything comes second. And the linear storyline in Tsushima allowed for a coherent story. In Yoti, you don't have that, and that's why for me it's inferior. But otherwise, the side quests are good and stuff like that. I don't really see a problem with Yoti. I just don't think it delivered a streamlined, coherent story like the original did.
Let's flip it and say by competition. Do you think that greatness comes out of inherent competition?
The competition is for gamers' attention and obviously dollars. That is the real competition, is doing things that gamers love as a community. Like, what's the biggest hit in the last couple of years? You'd say Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Was Fortnite actually born out of any platform competition between two things? No. Like, yes, the fact that there are multiple consoles and we all want to make sure we have a great experience. Yeah, but I look at the iPad, I look at phones, I look at a ton of things to get innovative. Us sit in a Tesla and just look what's going on there and say, okay, how does this impact the stuff that we're trying to do? It is really, though, the customer is the person you're competing for. And you're competing for so many of our hardcore Xbox fans have all of the consoles. So it's not even like one of the other consoles is going to go away. It's, can we put something on our platform that gamers love and they want to spend their time on? So the competition, I'd say it's more inspiration in looking at each other. Gaming is not going to get better if PlayStation's not a brand or Nintendo's not a brand of game. I fundamentally believe that gaming's a better place with known, trusted brands in place that customers love. If known brands that people love go away, it's going to undermine their confidence. It was a few holidays ago where there was DDoS attacking going on, and multiple of us were feeling it. And we got on calls together and said, hey, what are you seeing? And it's us, Sony, Valve, like all of us are talking about it because there's no world where, oh, this is the safe gaming network that's up and this one's not. To a general consumer, is playing games online something that you want, that works? And do you want to go do that? Is it safe and inclusive environment, or is it not? And more as we're pushing for cross-play, as we look at things like the inclusivity and toxicity online, we see this as industry things. They're not things that we want to compete with the other platforms. We want to actually be part of. The adaptive controller is something that we built so that any platform can go use that. And I hope they all do, because it's not, you don't want to be more accessible than the other platforms. You want gaming to grow.
Well, I think
and I think, his responses there pretty much from 2019 align exactly with what he's doing today. So, I think this was a really good interview. And it goes on for more, but that guy basically just constantly tries to get under his skin and fails historically. They fail historically. Let's see. Disney sued a grieving father for putting Spider-Man as a memorial. Oh, really? Crisis. That's deep. Yes, PlayStation have scrapped their port to Xbox. Why? Because of this hybrid console. That's what we were discussing earlier, Heatwave, and honestly, it doesn't make sense because not everyone is going to upgrade to the next Xbox. You know, people are still going to hold on to their Series X's, use xCloud to play those games. So doing that is potentially losing them 30 million potential 30 million customers, right? So I'm not sure that's the reason. That was also something I suggested during a Boom stream as well, that might be a possible reason. But I think over the next few months, we will, coming up to Christmas, we'll probably hear a little more, if anything, is going to happen. But though I can understand that logic, there is some aspects of that just doesn't align. If the game is already made and porting games from Windows to Xbox is dirt cheap anyway, why not just release it? Considering Sony isn't going to handle the marketing or the production of it, it's going to be Xbox. They've done the hard work. Why not just push it out? Do you know what I mean? So in that light, it doesn't make sense. And then at that point, you know, if the game is available to go thing, then Microsoft can make a deal with Sony later on, and this is more money for Sony if they want to make it play anywhere, right? They will have to pay extra for that, of course, but it's something that you know, Sony is going to make a pocket out of. So there's lots of opportunities here for it to happen, but I think people are just instantly like doom and glooming and going around the bandwagon and not really thinking about it logically from a business perspective. If you've already built the product, there's no reason. So clearly, I don't think it's, though that was partly one of the reasons I put forward, I think there's got to be something else there that's, you know, making them hesitant. Jesse, yeah, I've heard of that saying. Pretty much, it is what it is. Rumor Sony doing cross-play PS5 games to PC. Yeah, the question is, will it be day and date? That's the important one. I don't think they'd buy Steam. I don't think they want to buy Steam. I don't think they've got any reason to buy Steam. I think Steam being there helps Microsoft in more ways than people imagine. Because Steam as a platform is bigger than the Xbox app on PC, right? As a launcher. So if they wanted to do anything, Steam is just bigger. And they are now a hardware platform as well. They're not just a software platform. They're a hardware platform as well, with their Steam Deck and soon to be their Deckard and their home console, if it does ever materialize. So they're in the same boat as Microsoft. So Microsoft actually now, by not touching Steam, has a lot more leverage to do what they want to do in that space than they would have done before, with the regulators chasing them around. So in reality, it actually helps them not touching Steam. Warner Brothers has been up for sale for years, but from what I've heard, Warner Brothers still wants to be in charge of the IPs. They want to sell like the company, but they still want ownership of the IPs, and that's crazy. But I know Netflix is a hot runner for Warner Brothers at the moment. Which rumor is that, Crisis? Well, that is what they will. That's where I think they're going to go eventually, Woodpit. I think they're going to partner with them. They're going to put Game Pass on Steam and provide another avenue that way for people that don't want to use the Xbox app. They'll be able to just go through there. Gabe has already said that he's open to the idea and he'd welcome it because of his I don't know, relationship with Microsoft or whatever. So he's already live, verbatim said that he's open to the idea. They just need to agree on the logistics and the cost of everything. So I think that will probably come later, as after the console for next generation is out, or maybe, you know, this is all being talked about in tandem up to the next generation console release. So I wouldn't rule it out. Gabe has said he's interested in this, so time will tell. Who knows? Heatwave? Who knows? But they have the Steam Deck, and that docked in pretty much acts as a home console. I think that's really where they should stop. They just need to release the Steam Deck 2 now, because the Steam Deck is just way too old. It just can't run most things now. Can't wait for console-only players to enter the Church of Gabe Newell, where Steam sales are guaranteed. Rachie, I'm kind of in between both, right? But if a game is play anywhere, I will buy it on Xbox, 100%. I just ignore Steam entirely, because I like the ability to play it on, you know, between my Xbox and my thing. I've got like 5 kids. I know 4 of them are here and 1 of them is abroad, but I've got 4 kids at home that run around, jump on my PC, jump on my console and stuff, or generally just use my equipment a lot more than I'd like them to. So I'm always bouncing off things. So for someone like me, play anywhere is a really, really good thing. I'm not saying it's for everyone, but that's why for me, if a game is play anywhere, I will always buy the Xbox version, because it just provides me with more places to play. But that was always going to happen, right? It's cheaper. It's cheaper. You know, just it came out at like what, $400, and it has all the Mario fandom as well going after it. So, unlike the handheld PCs, which are a niche product, you've got like 100 million Nintendo fans gagging at the next console that they're going to buy, and it's going to sell a lot. But I'm not saying Steam is bad. I buy games from Steam. I buy games from Epic. I buy games from Uplay. Just don't tell Banisher about that, because he might, you know, I can't be responsible for what he's doing. Have a good night gaming. But you know, I don't have any like loyalty to a thing. I have a loyalty to convenience and my wallet. That's where my loyalty lies. And you know, convenience is paramount, and wallet is pretty much right behind it. Genuine question: do you think the new 1,000 plus Xbox PC will succeed? I don't think it's going to be $1,000, but we'll see. I simply don't see it even outselling the current generation, especially with how bad the goodwill is currently. I think it'll probably retail at about, at least in the UK, right? I don't know how it will be priced in the US, whether they're just going to change the dollar sign to a pound sign and stuff like that. But I think it's going to, I think it's going to start retailing at around 800. It's going to be between 800 and I think 999. I don't think it will be 1,000 plus. But I don't think they'll aim for 1,000 either. They're going to try and reduce the price. Don't forget, if they've already got the silicon and everything already in place now while they're doing it, next year or the year after, things are going to get cheaper. The production of it is going to go down. People are looking at the pricing of it today, not of what that same hardware is going to be priced at next year or the year after, where it gets cheaper to manufacture. So people aren't looking at it with the foresight. They're only looking about the here and now, and that's just the wrong way to look at it. The PS5 is selling, I think, about 14 million away from the PS4. Destin was fighting with people again over this topic. I don't know what topic that is. People are using that excuse, Heatwave, because of the ROG Ally, but the ROG Ally is $799, right? The ROG Ally X is $799, and that's a pre-built, all-in-one, latest technology handset that has all the bells and whistles, and it's still priced at $799.99. That's why I'm saying I don't think it will hit that price. I think it will be below. Minecraft Dragon Ball Z DLC, let's go. But these aren't GPUs, they're using APUs. Maybe, Marsh. Maybe. I mean, it hasn't grown in a while, Woodpit. And Heatwave, I've been trying to buy it from Curry since day one. There's none in stock. I've been trying to buy it from Microsoft UK. There's none in stock. I've been trying to buy it from Asus UK. There's none in stock. I keep seeing them giving them away for free to influencers, which is annoying, because if they have the stock, just sell me one. But they won't do that. So I even offered them to give me one. They still wouldn't do that. But yeah, Woodpit, you're right. You know, on average, it's stagnating at around 200 million between Nintendo and not Nintendo, Sony and Xbox. It's never really eclipsed it. And years, I think like last year or the year before, I actually had a graph that showed you from like OG Xbox all the way up to the series. It's not really shifted. It's not really grown above that 200. Nintendo is weird because they can live on to 3 generations. So it's hard to determine where Nintendo comes in, and that is why people exclude Nintendo. Exactly, Jesse. Mate, I really hope GTA 6 does well, because I never want the downfall of any game. Like, any game. I'm the guy that actually really enjoyed Forspoken, right? And I praised that highly. I gave it a 7.5 out of 10, which I think is a fair review. But I'm the guy that really enjoyed that game, despite its flaws. But I will never be the guy that wants a game to fail. But if that game flops, man, everyone is going to have egg on their face on how much they have been saying it's going to be genre defining. I just hope it doesn't. Hey man, if it gets him the super chats, it gets him the sponsors, it gets him the stuff, that's what it's all about, right? It's all about the hustle. I'm just not doing that. I'd rather do it the proper way and have people support me the proper way, and if they want to, that's great, and if they don't want to, that's also fine. You know, it is what it is. But I like Destin. I think he can troll and he can poke the bear at times, which is, you know, evident, clearly, especially in his tweets. But he's a nice guy. I don't know, I like the story. I thought the story was okay. I mean, it was a bit predictable towards the end, and I didn't like the fact that they gave you your ultimate skill tree like 5 minutes before the end of the game. But I still think the story was pretty good, and I would have loved to see where it was going, because it set itself up for a sequel, especially with I can't remember what the race was that Puff was actually part of, But their whole thing was waiting. Yeah, it's always hovered around 180 to 200 million, Raichi. It's never really been above that. But really, it's just been around 180 million. And that's just been a thing. T-Smack are in part milking the APU market. Current stuff is what Zen 3. Who knows how much Zen 6 will cost. That's true as well, Brick. But, you know, what I'm saying is everyone's coming up with these prices and stuff on what things are going to cost. And they think, like, the PlayStation is going to cost $500. And I'm like, well, when I question why is that going to cost $500, they say, well, by then, the actual tech is going to be old. It's going to be like a year or two old. So why doesn't that apply to the other one? Oh, no, it doesn't apply to them. But why? Because it doesn't. That's the reasoning I get. So in terms of the pricing, I think no one should be talking about the pricing at all. I think we are way away. We haven't even seen the console. We haven't even seen finalized specs. We haven't seen anything. This is all hearsay and just ways for people to use ammunition against people to try and console war, to try and bash and all this and all that. And it's just, why? There's nothing actually confirmed. There's nothing even remotely confirmed. All everyone is doing is using MLID as a source, and that's it. My guy said it's going to be $1,200. Every magazine decided to post that the next Xbox console is going to be $1,200 due to an insider. That's it. One guy said it. All this came out from one guy. It's weird. $600 sounds ridiculous as well in this day and age when we are constantly seeing price increases and whatnot. It's just, I don't see it feasible. But I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying I'm gonna wait until I see the prices and then think. Do you remember how people were saying the ROG Xbox Ally was going to be no cheaper than $1,200 because of all this price exchange and all the magazines were running with it, and then it wasn't $1,200 at all? You know, why didn't anyone hold those websites or people accountable for misinformation? Because bashing Xbox is praised upon, and that's it. Bags, we know you're in talks with Phil. Don't start that. We don't need you to expose yourself. The cost of bread is high. They need clicks. Hey man, we all need clicks. I need clicks. But again, I'll just keep it real. And if people like that, hey, that's great. If people don't like that, it is what it is. Well, according to Kepler, they were at something like 28 million, right? Which I don't believe. Because Microsoft already announced they were at like 33 million a year ago, 32 million a year ago. And I think they hit like 34 million somewhere along the line. So, but this is the other thing with Xbox. It's completely muddied the water. They had 60 million units, people on Xbox One, right? If you're on an Xbox One and you're a Game Pass user, you don't have to and as long as you've got good internet, you don't need to buy a Series S or a Series X, because cloud gaming will supply you with those games that you want to play. And I know a number of people, it's not a lot, about 4 or 5 people, who still have an Xbox One right now and tell me they have no reason to upgrade. They're happy with the performance that it gives, and they're happy to play it in that way. And they just play through the cloud on xCloud and are happy, right? Now, whether they're going to do that with the price increase or whatever, that's different. I'm not going to, that's a different variable entirely. But at the time, people didn't see a reason to upgrade. Do you think if these games on PlayStation weren't being released for the PS4, more people wouldn't have jumped onto the PS5? Of course they would. But when you've got Call of Duty Black Ops 7 coming out in a few days' time, or whenever it is, and it's going to be available on Xbox One, and it is one of the biggest games out there, what reason do they have to upgrade? They just don't. And that's the problem. That's why we haven't seen a shift from people moving from last generation to this generation in a much bigger jump than we would have expected. That's just, and that's part of the cons of having this whole we're going to support the previous generation for. I mean, we're in year 5 and we're still supporting last generation. I reckon we're going to be in the PS6 and the Xbox Prime era and still supporting the Xbox One and the PS4. Now that's when it's going to be crazy, right? But I can see it. I can see it. Ew. One sec, chat. But it is silly. But what can we do? I just need to check something because I said I was going to do something for someone in the house. So I just need to do this real quick. Come on. Change. You can do it. I believe in you. All right, there we go. Oh. I hate how Microsoft Flex, they bought so much GPUs, they can't use them while PC gamers are living. It is what it is, man. I know a bunch of people too that never upgraded. Yeah, because they don't have to. And that's something that Microsoft created, right? And so did Sony. And so you'd have seen them. But what that means is it doesn't mean that, you know, the console space would have grown. You're just moving from one platform to the other. And here's the other thing, right? Here's the other thing. How many of those people that bought a second PS5 or have upgraded from a PS5 to the PS5 Pro, if we're talking 10 million there, right? I think there's about 10 million PS5 Pros out there. Even though there's essentially 80 million consoles sold, their user base is on 70 million. Because people have upgraded from a PS5 to a PS5 Pro. They haven't actually, yes, they've sold more, but they've not gained 10 million more players. They're still sitting on that 70 million. And so these mid-gen refreshes also blur that line as well. And you also had this with the whole PS4 Pro and the Xbox One X era as well, and the Xbox One S era. They had the Xbox One, Xbox One S, Xbox One X. All of this blurs that line, right, of how many people are actually playing as opposed to how many units are being sold. So they don't tell you any of this. Because if they actually gave you the real numbers, it would be a different picture entirely. Ah, the one with the Moonhead replying to haters. Well, people are bashing the game just for the sake of it, so it is what it is, man. You don't stoke the fire, and that is what they did. It absolutely is ragey. I'm not saying it's not. But what I'm saying is, look at it this way, yeah? If I bought an Xbox One, I count as one user, that is one sale. If then I got rid of my Xbox One and I bought an Xbox One S, that is 2 sales, but still 1 user. And then I upgraded from the One S to the One X. That is now 3 units sold, but 1 user. So yes, they are getting more users, more consoles sold, but when you're looking at the bigger picture, it's still technically 1 person, which means those 3 units sold are just 1 unit. Right? And so when you're going from the PS5 to the PS5 Slim to the PS5 Digital to the PS5 Slim to the Pro, and you're going through like 4 console versions to get to the Pro, you're still that 1 person. So even though they've sold 4 units, it really equates to 1 unit, because you're not getting 4 different people that are going to go into the PlayStation Store to buy that game. And the same thing for Xbox. You're just not going to get that, right? So that is the information that people need. Also, shipped doesn't mean sold. Shipped just means that they've given that to manufacturers. How many people have a PSN account? If that PSN account, I'm just hypothetically saying a number of 60 million, that is where they're truly at. Not at 80 million, at that 60 million number. But they won't tell you that, because that makes the numbers look bad. So they show you the bigger number. And this applies to all of them. Not just Sony, to Microsoft, Nintendo, all of them. It's just the same thing. It's all numbers play. But you try saying that to someone on Twitter, and they will absolutely murder you. Outer Worlds 2 is supposed to be a really good game. I mean, you know what? Bags, that is... Exactly. It's so muddled up right now in terms of what it is. That's the thing part. But if you turn around and say, hey, these are the number of people that have signed in on a PS5, signed in on an Xbox Series X and S, that is your true number of people out there, right? But they won't give you that number. I remember there was an article, I think it was by VGC, where I think like 25% of the PS5s out there hadn't even been turned on, right? But again, because they shipped it, that counts as a sale. But if you're not getting anyone using the machines, it doesn't matter. This is where the conversation should be. But because this muddies the water and doesn't give you the agenda or the narrative or the win or whatever you want to call it, no one talks about this. And then anyone talking about this becomes Mr. Bad. Or you're just salty. Or you're just, triggered, spiteful, whatever. But it's really dumb, because what I'm saying is facts. It's true. But that doesn't work when they want to think. It's like the whole conversation where they say, oh, Xbox costs $800, but it also costs $500. You can buy an Xbox, Series X all digital for $499. I think it might be $549 now, maybe, with the price hike. I'm not sure. But that's the base price for you to enter Series X gaming. $499 or $549. But they will only tell you about the $800 because it makes it look bad. They will never give you the right information. And when you do try to argue the right information, you're either a zealot, an Xbox peasant, or this or that. And so I just can't deal with people like that. They're morons. They're people that don't have any critical thinking and can't actually have a civilized conversation when the facts are there for everyone to see. MAUs mean nothing. MAUs are only good for live service games. Otherwise, they mean nothing. And to put it in a much more contextualized way to show you how MAUs are not important, right? I'm going to ask you guys a number of questions, and you tell me what's more important to you? If you are making a game for Xbox, let's say exclusively, right? You're making a game for Xbox. What's more important to you? How many Xbox owners there are out there that have the Series X and S, or the 500 million MAU? And then I will forward the question to the same thing for PlayStation. What is more important to you? If you're making a game for PS5 only, is knowing that there is 70, 60 million PS5 users out there more important, or the 118 million MAUs? Bear in mind that anything above that 60 million, you have no access to. Anything above that 30 million, you have no access to. That's just inflated numbers to support whatever they're doing, because those games won't be there. Now, cloud changes that somewhat, which is where Microsoft is going. But if we're talking just hardware sales on its own, as a publisher, as a game developer, as a studio, what value is more important to you? Number of people on that hardware, or the MAU? I said it was exclusive to the hardware. We've already seen with PC, it's so weird with the whole way they interact with games. But I'm talking just on the console hardware. Which number is more important to you? Obviously, the hardware numbers. And that's why, when they shout out about these MAUs, it's great, because for live service games that are out there, that are multi-platform, that are cross-play and whatever, those numbers mean a hell of a lot, because it means there are 500 million people out there, potentially, that are microtransaction cows that they can milk for everything they're worth. But if you're making a single-player game that doesn't have any of that and it's focused on one platform, those MAU numbers mean nothing to you. Absolutely nothing. Both of these companies going after those big, high MAUs, it's great, but it's just a marketing thing. For live service games and things, it works because they're everywhere. You're putting them out everywhere. So you basically become a cattle ranch, and you're getting milked for everything you can through microtransactions. That is the purpose of MAUs.
For sure, and I think.
But yeah, so that's why I say, MAUs aren't the be all and end all. And this is why but Microsoft has changed, that part of the game as well. Because now, if you sign up to Game Pass, you will still get the Xbox version of those games as long as they are available on xCloud. So now if you're a publisher out there, and you say, right, my game is going to be available on xCloud day one, you don't care about that 30 million anymore. You now look at how many people are subscribed to Game Pass. That becomes your metric. And then if Microsoft allows people to use the cloud, games on xCloud by just buying them without having to subscribe to the service, which I think they do, but I'm not 100% sure, so don't quote me on that. But if they did do that, then their market just became even bigger. They'd have to see how many people are subscribed to cloud gaming, or a form of cloud gaming, to be able to play it. So it becomes a lot more messier to try and put a metric on there. Not impossible, but the accuracy is definitely going to get a hit. So this is where things change. Right? And Yeah, but if I try to explain that to people on the internet, man, I'm in for a bad time. A real bad time. I mean, I tried to explain to people about, what they were talking about with the whole TikTok thing, which anyone with common sense will tell you it's about time. So then they started telling me, well, if I'm having a shit, that means my time is away from the game. Like, this is how dumb these people are, right? This is how moronically stupid these people are. But you can't have a normal conversation with these people because all they want to do is console war. That's it. It's sad, but it is what it is, right? That is all they want to do. Like, what has the two got in common? It's clear that stuff like YouTube Shorts and TikTok and short form media has consumed a lot of people's time. We all watch it now. We all take part in it, flicking on it with our phones or scrolling on our desktops. And it's taking time away when it never used to be that big. Everyone said shorts weren't going to be successful, but now they're a huge part of the younger generation's lives, and it takes away from everything else that's going on. But when you try to have a normal conversation, they talk about them having a dump or having sex or doing anything that's just remotely not even applicable to what you're talking about. I knew there'd be one. But folks, is there anything else anyone wants to talk about? I think we've hit where I wanted to, all the topics I wanted to talk about. Tomorrow is going to be my last stream over at Twitch, so the channel is still going to be there, but it's getting rebranded as my son takes over. He's basically going to change it into a more of a variety channel. So feel free to stop by tomorrow and, hang out if that's what you like to do. I don't know if I'm going to, do stuff on the weekend at all or anything. It's up to him if he wants me to have any time on there. But yeah, so that's tomorrow, and then Thursday we'll be back here. And yeah, now that I'll have a few more days up my sleeve, I can actually start adding more content and more stuff to this, to what I do here, which is great. You only can't having a tough. Yes, and I really hope you guys enjoy the content he's gonna do. It's completely different to what I was doing with the gacha stuff. He's gonna be doing a lot more like party games and co-op games and stuff like that, and maybe I'll join him as well every now and then. It'll mean I need to create a new Twitch account, but that's all good. So sometimes. But folks, that's going to be it for me tonight. I wish you all a good night. Thank you so much for hanging out. I really hope you enjoyed the stream. I hope you enjoyed the topics discussed, and I hope you enjoyed the discussions. I will be back on Thursday over here, or unless you see a video coming out soon-ish, maybe, if there's much to talk about, which I don't think there really is. I don't like making content just for the sake of making content. I want it to have meaning. But I will see you all then. Have a good night, folks. Peace out. And remember to remain, as always, a legend. Like and subscribe!